clicking past, ain't feeling his hymn. Waiting for the moment, blow up like a piston. Haters gonna hate, but persistence gonna glisten. Hold tight, 20 turn 200 someday. Laugh in their face, shouting, who wants some pay? Purple Show.
What's up, everybody? Anything going on? Oh, what a fucking day. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. What up, Twitch? What up, Larry? What up, Pharaoh? What up, Ribbons? What up, Fancy Pudding? Are you seriously unaware, Larry? Are you not aware of the public messiest breakup I have seen? it is it is like the Twitter is on fire. Holy shit, dudes. Holy shit. Oh. Okay. Okay. So I assume that all of you know about how Elon and Trump like split up, right? Like as part of their, just Elon's leaving the government, going back to do his thing. It got messy. It got messy fast. It got it's it got to the point where Trump is accusing Musk of having Trump derangement syndrome, and Elon accused Trump of being in the Epstein files, and that's why they're not getting released. And then Trump says that they're gonna pull all of his contracts, and Elon's like, well then I'm decommissioning the Dragon spacecraft. It is cray. It is cray cray, y'all. What up, Schnuffle? Oh. Also, The Daily Show made fun of Tim Pool. Hmm. Oh. So yeah, it is. It is a day. It is a hell of a day. And we're going to talk with She Snaps, and that should be fun. That should be fun. If you're not familiar, we did raid into them once or twice. They are an absolutely fantastic human being. And um, just a chill space. Just like if you want kind of like an oasis, you want to stay on Twitch, but you want like a little oasis action. She Snaps is a great place to go. You know what I mean? We might have to do a little tech support in the beginning due to having to get. This is going to be their first time using Stream together. Um, so as always, be a little patient. But we're going to be doing that, and yeah, it should be fun. It should be fun.
Yeah, what a fucking weird ass day. Um, all I did, myth, is wash it yesterday. And then today,
It really is, Larry. But and this is the thing, right? You have to be you have to be aware of things as far as strategy and behaviors and all these different things that combine together. And in this particular case, like I expected it to happen, right? Because it's inevitable. Whenever you have a system that's founded on purity testing, eventually you're going to, um, people are going to be pushed out of that purity area, right? As people inside the purity area attempted to consolidate power. I just didn't expect it to happen so quickly, right? It's only been 5 months. Woo! What a day, what a day. Ah, should be fun. Should be fun. Looks like they're currently talking with their chat. No, they were right. I just didn't expect the breakdown to happen so quickly. Everything, and this is like from a strategy point of view. We're not talking politics. We're talking strategy. From a strategy point of view, they they went hard, right? They went hard trying to accomplish a variety of different goals, and I think that intensity kind of ratcheted everything up, not just outside the thing, but inside the thing as well. And flooding the zone is a double-edged sword.
You know? It's so dumb. Okay. Let me finish this and then I'm gonna hit him up. Banana in pajamas. What does this one do? Oh, I was just about to message you. I think I'm gonna put my headphones on for this. Yeah. Yes, for sure. Okay, Globus. So, I don't know if you can hear me, but I am looking at your thing, and I don't know if I should knock. I don't know what I need to do, because it doesn't show me that I can currently. So, if you are hearing me with mouth words, I am ready. Oh, look at that! Okay, this is probably gonna be real fucky for a second, friends. Joining. Okay. Get started. Okay. I'm gonna stop the music for a sec just to make sure. Are you hearing things?
Do 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 do.
Oh.
Do 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 do.
Okay.
Do.
I hear you, so yes. But I don't think shared chat. Okay.
Okay, I am not hearing you through the stream together.
Let's try that one.
Now I can hear you.
Ah, I can hear me. Okay. Audio output. Okay, I think that's what I want. So now do I my camera is already in use. So I need to switch to the cam link. And then whoa, what is happening on mine? Oh my gosh, that's so fun. Whoa. Okay. In camera. So I had put the browser source in my thing. So is this did I do it?
We're almost there. I
Hmm.
am It's giving me a hard time over my camera. I got my virtual cam. Obama.
Thank you, Doom. Okay, so I turned off my main cam, but it still says that it's in use. And so, do I need to like close my stream software and turn it back on
Do you
with it
use
off?
OBS?
Streamlabs desktop.
You use Streamlabs.
Yes.
Okay. Because in OBS, there's an option to do a virtual cam. Is there something like that in Streamlabs?
Virtual cam. Would it be under video maybe? Let's see. Stream appearance. No, it's probably not it. Virtual webcam.
There we go.
Okay, so it allows me to display my scenes. Okay. Okay. Sorry if you all got the bedings. Oh my god, it's bedinging everyone. Okay, so now it's saying output type program scene or source.
And then you want to pick your whatever scene you use for your main scene. The one that you're using now for your main scene.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. And then if I hit start virtual webcam, what is gonna be a thing? Now what do that do? Okay. Set up virtual camera. Choose. I'm using Streamlabs. Okay. Uh, this is cute and fun and neat. Okay, so it says it's running. I have it set to the scene. So if I hit done, now do I just put that away? Yeah, the Globus logo was coming up when I put on the Stream Together browser source, which apparently is not what I want to do. Question mark?
No, it is what you want to do.
Okay.
I'm just, for some reason, it's not giving me the opportunity to use my virtual cam. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to end this one and I'm going to call you back, okay?
Okay.
And we'll see if that gets us past the issue that we might both be having for the same reason.
Okay.
Be
Got
right back.
it. Got it. Okay.
Okay.
So turn camera on.
Turn camera
Camera in
on, and then
use.
one of your
Okay.
options should be like something that says virtual cam. Like mine says OBS virtual camera.
Did that? It's
And now you should be able to see me.
I see you. Dang. Because I tried to select thinking it would be like Elgato, but it no wanty. Okay. So virtual camera? No. Set up virtual camera. Let's try this again. It just keeps saying choose a webcam. Elgato screen link? That doesn't seem right. Oh my. I don't even know what it's doing. I wonder if dang. Okay, because I have the main cam off, but it still believes that it's in use. So I'm gonna just see maybe if I just like turn it off. And then try to turn it back on again. I might have to just restart my stream software because I think that could potentially help. Camera in use elsewhere. That's what you say, but it's not. You're a fibber.
And when you went to turn camera on, you didn't pick your camera, right? You picked your virtual camera, right?
That's what I tried, and it said nah. Okay,
But
so
no.
let's try again. Like it just because it shows Elgato virtual camera, and then I select it, and it's just like, nope, choose a webcam. So I select it, and it says, nope, choose a webcam. So I don't know, maybe there's something. Let me
Well,
see.
wouldn't be the Elgato virtual camera, it would be the Streamlabs virtual camera.
Then why do it not show me that? Because
Because streaming software is stupid.
it is being real silly. Okay, so I'll stop virtual webcam. And then I'll start virtual webcam. And what do you think of that? Camera? Why did you allure? Hmm. I'm thinking maybe a restart of my stuff cuz I don't it's not showing it up as an option at all.
Mm.
It's only giving me game cap, Elgato virtual camera, a webcam that I use like if I'm streaming from my phone, my camera, my actual cam link, and then the Elgato
Mm.
stream link. Deleting the input, like I'd have to actually delete the source. Is that is that what actually, you know what? Hold on. Maybe I just duplicate my IRL stream one and then delete the main cam from that. Oh my god, I'm so sorry for everyone's earballs. That just bedinged so aggressively. So sorry. That probably was painful. You can't tell me that it's in use anymore. You can't because it's not. You are a fibber face currently. Let's try this. Come on now. You can do it. Camera is not in use anywhere else. Arr. So cute, so fun. Yeah, it's so weird.
It's, once you get it set up, it's like anything else, right? Like the first time, I assume the first time you
Mhm.
streamed, you went through a bunch of challenges, and then by the end of it all, you were like, "Oh, I got this," right? Like, so
Yeah.
it's a new thing. It's a new thing.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna try to close out slobs real quick and come back, and we'll see if that do the things.
Roger that.
Okay. What's cool is, like, I still have connection to you here at least.
Yeah, because it goes through the browser, not through the streaming software.
Mm.
And you can
Hmm.
actually like use like the chat together
Oh
feature.
my gosh.
I see your
Wait.
face.
Okay.
I see a
Holy
live
shit.
face. Look at that.
Okay, that means I can go live, so that means confirm and go live, getting my stream going again. Okay. Layout options. So this is for me. Oh my gosh, why am I looking like that again? Why? Why camera? What is the purpose? What the fuck? It did that the first time too. Okay. So are you like the boss of this right now?
Yes.
Do you have to be the one to change the layout?
No, you can change the layout for your own stream. I can change the layout, but it's basically like Discord calls where you just move people around.
Hmm.
Like if you want to play a game together or share screen or any of that stuff.
It's weird. Okay, my camera is like it's so tweaked right now and I don't understand why, so we're just gonna try to do another little restarty. Hopefully it doesn't fucking do some goofy shit again. Why would it strip the color? Like, can you see me? Is it looking ridiculous for you as
Where
well?
it's like red and blue and like pixelated.
Yeah,
Yes.
but for why?
I don't know. You were good until you went live.
Literally. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I guess I can disable the fucking virtual camera. Oh, it's already off. Hmm. And I don't have the ability to like refresh my camera through here the way that I would. Maybe if I just switch away from it. See if that fucking breaks everything again. Camera in use elsewhere. Ah! Okay. Oh. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So when I hit layout options, tiled, like what is happening with this? I have to find the thing. Stream together. Yeah, because it's still like I have it full screen here, but it just shows you. Why am I not there? I'm important to me. Let me see me.
Right above the
Oh.
layout options, it says improve my camera.
Yeah, it did say that there, didn't it? It sure did. Okay. 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 Oh my fuck. Oh my absolute fuck. Okay, so I think let's see this I usually have chat over here. Okay, so chat's going to be like creeping into your beard a little bit, but I think that's not too terrible. I'm going to try to move us up cuz this looks so fucky for me. Make
Is
you
your chat
bigger.
chatting right now?
They are.
Okay, because they're not showing up on my end. You have to
Oh,
figure
do
out.
we need to are we oh, I guess we're connected, so we shouldn't have to.
Um, you might need to share your chat. You might need to click that as an option somewhere. Start sharing chat. There it is. I found it. Nope, I got it.
Shared chat is on. Aha! Shared it was
Da-da-da.
working earlier, that's why I was also confused.
Yeah,
Okay.
now we're in business.
Oh my fuck. Alright.
And that only took,
Alright.
what, 15 minutes? 10 minutes, easy.
That was actually a lot better than I thought it was gonna be, for sure. Okay, so I have your stream up over here. I can close that, I don't need that. And yeah, mine's just a little like, how does it look for all of you children's? Share chat is seen by you? Yay! Okay. Okay, oh my gosh, and of course the ads are trying to come in right away. You have mic envy? Yeah, it's cute, it's nice, we like it. Um, wait a minute. Why do I feel confused? Aside from my general existence. I think it's because I just want this to be like we've got this little gap. Oh, okay, also the bit cup, I gotta put the bit cup over us. There. Okay, so we're good?
I think we're good.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna see what happens if I put my music on, if it's just, like, obnoxious to have the lo-fi on in the background. Do you play music? Are you playing music?
I don't play music.
During conversations, period?
I don't
Maybe I
play
need
music at all. Um,
mm.
at one point in time, I did play music, but then one of the members of my community wanted to create a voice sample of me to train an AI so that they could do like those covers, right? And use and
Mhm.
replace their voice with my voice. And so I stopped doing voice or stopped doing music so that they could, get all the content that they needed. And I just really never went back to it.
I see. I think it's like an ADHD thing for me. I think it's like a little bit of comfort to
Mhm.
have just a little bit of noise going.
No, and
Okay, I think
it's a common thing. A lot of people do it. James from the internet was talking earlier about he doesn't understand how people like me can stream without music in the background. Like that silence is you're being alone with your own thoughts can be overwhelming.
I like the silence a lot. In the context of stream is where it starts to feel different because I know others don't like the silence.
Yeah,
So I'm like, "Oh, I don't want you to have to just, like, hear me heavy breathing or something,"
I
which
talk a
is
lot,
fun.
so there's rarely actually silence in my stream for an
Ooh, we
extended period
could
of time.
high five for being yappers then. Come on, high five. Wait, you're you're there we go. Hey, there
On
we go.
on my end,
We,
it's
like,
the
meld
opposite.
hands. Okay, so I put my title because, like, when you and I first started,
Mhm,
when we first got introduced, thanks to Read and Rap, everyone tell Read and Rap how super cute he is, by the way. That was one of the first things that we had talked about is, like, we should get together and have a conversation related to like media literacy and critical thinking
mhm.
and things along those lines. So I put that as my title today. And then I was like, I don't actually know what we're going to end up talking about since this is our first time chatting.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Maybe I should just make mine cool like yours and just say like talking to.
It's I'm always open. Now I've had a variety of different conversations, and usually um I don't want to say usually. Often they're about like either AI or specific something related to AI, like copyright or something like that. But
Mm,
sometimes it's just kind of like free form or whatever, and I'm cool with whatever. I like this is one of my favorite things that the platform allows for, and one of my favorite things to do is to get to meet new people, have a conversation. It's usually interesting for chat, right? Like that kind of thing.
mm-hmm.
And so it's just a generally, people getting to know each other kind of vibe.
Okay, cool. I'm good with that. Could Globus make his volume louder? Is that's a you thing? Is that a
You
me
should
thing?
be, if you go hover over my square and the three dots in the lower right corner, you can make an adjustment.
Square, 3 dots. Oh, no, I think I left that one view. Oh, there it is. 3 dots. Oh my gosh, it has guest volume here, kids. Okay. I just bumped it by another 50%, so
Check, check, checkity check. Chickity check, check,
oh.
check.
Oh, and I see where you're coming through here. You're coming through on this one. So, how does that sound for everyone? Is that better? Because I can also bump them here a little.
Check, check, checkity check. Checkity check.
Checkity check. Is that good? Have we done it?
I used to have a Slovakian sound man and a check 1 2. Check 1 2.
All right, well, this was fun. I've gotta go throw away a banana. It's probably gonna take me a while, so, I'm sure we'll have a chance to reconnect. Am I still louder? That's just me. I can turn down my mic because that's actually very interesting. My stream volume mix is usually not this loud. I wonder why I got boosted so hard. Are we better? Are we about to throw away a banana? Giggity. That's what the kids are calling it these days, obviously. Are we better? Are we closer to being more equal here? La 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 la. We could start like a round of row, row, row your boat to see.
Oh,
Oh wow,
gently
I
down the
gently down.
stream.
Okay, here we go. I actually think I need to bump you a teeny bit more. All
Merrily,
right.
merrily. My wife loves that song.
It's
For like
fun.
the like a deeper meaning to it all, life being but a dream and all that kind of.
Yeah. I actually love that a lot. My first time getting to interpret it that way was through this little documentary on Ram Dass,
Hmm.
and he was singing, kind of pointing to it, and I was like, "Yes, oh my gosh, we've been singing this for so long," and,
Hmm.
like, yeah, life is but a dream.
Yeah, my father was into Ram Dass and like
Mm.
that. Yeah, there was some book, right? Like this big, thick, square book. and in the middle of the book were like these parchment colored pages, which
Yeah,
apparently
that's me here now.
that's the one. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, that's a juicy book. That's real fun if you're on psychedelics also, hypothetically, of course.
hypothetically.
Those those images hypothetically might be moving and talking to you. But that book is it's cool the way that it impacted so many different people in so many different ways.
Mhm.
Like it hit for me and then reading a lot of his other books and like listening to his lectures and stuff, just super good. Okay. So,
So
everyone in chat, hello. I didn't have a chance to say hi to you.
yeah, let's do the
So
intro
hi.
thing.
Hello. Yeah. Do you wanna take a second to just, like, introduce yourself to my homies who are here,
Sure, absolutely.
for anyone who hasn't had a chance to get to know you?
Hi, I'm Globus the Elder, Globus underscore the underscore elder on Twitch. I talk about AI, automation, robots, and future tech. I stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at around 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. In the morning, I do news articles. In the evening, I do videos. And you don't have to like AI. I just want to educate people about AI and automation so that they understand what's actually happening rather than a lot of the noise that's coming around. So you should come by. It's an educational space.
Mhm. That's actually how I got introduced to you for the first point at the first point because Reed and Rap and I were having a conversation or like, this we were having a conversation about AI and I was saying like I'm opposed to the way that it has been thrust into fucking everything
Hmm.
because I think in so many cases it's just like dumb. Get out of here. I don't need you here. And I also think that it's a valuable technology, and it's also terrible that it's incredibly resource intensive and was, created from my understanding with some pretty exploitative means. So I try to limit use of it, and I think like it's here. I don't see it going anywhere, you know?
Hmm. and that's like the one of the conversations around AI the is this idea that it is resource intensive, right? And
Mhm.
it's actually um the the study that a lot of that is actually tied to used a lot of estimation and referenced a way earlier version of one of the models in order
Mm.
to extrapolate numbers that weren't actually they're not measured, they're extrapolated. Now I will be the first to tell you that the AI companies are not really forthcoming with a lot of information around a lot of the stuff that they do. But the like for the electricity aspect, the latest versions of the models and we're talking again, there's two different parts to the AI model. One part is the training of the model and the other part is the inference. And inference by itself is already significantly less energy intensive than the training of the model. And the
Mhm.
reduction of the inference has been um, made more efficient by a factor of 105,000 x, right? Like, so it's 105,000 times more efficient now than it was at the point in time that these, extrapolations were made. So it is actually more energy intensive. There's also the fact that this is the United States, and the United States government and other powerful entities only care about money and what the money wants. Money has decided, in the interest of the AI, that getting the renewable energy machine going, right? And you might not be a fan of nuclear, but I am a fan of nuclear. I think it is way safer than a lot of people, give it credit for, especially in comparison to like the fossil fuel stuff. Um,
Mhm.
so there's a lot of pressure now coming from the money to get into this renewable energy type stuff and to update our energy grid and all that other kind of stuff. So this is another thing that's happening that is a benefit to us, right? Is to get that green energy. And then finally with the water, which is the other concern,
Mhm.
a lot of the water used in um, the cooling of the data centers, a bunch of that water is actually self-contained in a closed loop, so it's not lost. It doesn't
It's
go
not like just
anywhere.
evaporating and disappearing.
Well, the part of it that is, and that's what you see because there's a heat exchange between that closed loop and the outside. That outside
Mm-hmm.
stuff, it is evaporating, but what it gets evaporated comes back down somewhere, right? Like it goes back into the water cycle. But the
Okay.
majority of the water, and when people say things like every inference consumes a bottle of water, what they actually are referring to is that volume of water passes over the GPU in order to cool it. It's in a closed loop. And they're not using fresh water. They're often using like gray water, or they're filtering out wastewater, which is no longer usable. So there is a variety of things
Can
that.
you
Go
what
ahead.
is gray water? I heard that term. Also,
Gray.
are you I have ADHD, so like
No,
if
feel
you're
free.
comfortable with us like rapid firing at each other, I would
100%.
love to know that.
100%.
Okay. So what is gray water? I've heard that term before. My brain is guessing that it's like non-potable, like some kind of nasty flushed water, but not necessarily sewage.
Exactly. Like you can have water if you've ever gone camping and they have those little taps near the campsite.
Mhm.
That water is non-potable. You can't drink it. You don't want to consume it in any way, but you could use it for, a variety of different things. That's the kind of gray water that they're talking about. It's something that isn't, you shouldn't consume it. It's not suitable for people, but it can be used to do things that you would do with water, like cooling.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know. Okay, so hold on. Let me see if I can bring my brain back to where we were. And also
Yeah, yeah.
the little dangle in your hat. Like, it's probably every 3 seconds, my brain is just like,
At least I got your attention, right?
yeah, like eyes are down here, buddy. Quit looking at my dangles. Um, okay, that's why I was like, I gotta come back because I had the gray water. I had to be clear about making sure I'm not skipping over that. I really appreciate the clarification
Mhm,
on the like water consumption aspect of that because that is huge for me. And like I think you've been popping in and out of streams, so you may have heard that like when it comes to some of my like deepest defining values and the things that I use to kind of guide my life, it's like compassion
mhm,
for self, for other, for the environment. And I value the potential use of um, AI. And I know some folks will even get frustrated hearing us talk about like generative AI as just AI.
mhm,
And maybe you have some thoughts on that. Like, I value the use of it. And I was kind of weighing it out of like, okay, if someone's like looking through my logs in the future and they're saying like you dumped out, like you wasted a bottle of water for this. I wanted to feel kind of safe in like, look, dude, like I'm trying to survive. This is stuff that's helping me to get work done that is
Baby, I
very
just met
important for
you.
whatever reason. Like
This
I
is
needed to feel like I could
crazy.
kind of
Here's my
justify it in
number.
that way.
Call me,
And
baby.
even then, like, everyone is gonna have different moral values, right? So my
Mhm.
justifications still might not hold for them. But that's kind of how I've been operating. Like, I try to use it very sparingly because of the notion of it being so resource intensive. Do they have any, like, can you give me any links, any sources to learn more about the, like, actual resource usage now, like, since it's apparently improved over time?
There is, if I can give you something, and I'll give this to everybody. Give me 1 second. There's a 3 hour YouTube video, and I know it's 3 hours, um, and I feel the same way. Like I feel like people who make, like, I don't know if you know who H Bomber Guy is, but he made like a 4 hour video on plagiarism. And it's like,
Mhm.
instead of doing a 4 hour video on plagiarism, why don't you go ahead and do like a series on plagiarism? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So Larry just put a link in chat, but here is the video. This is Alex. Alex is Alex came to this idea, um, attempting to answer the question, right? And like anything else, there's two ways you can go about finding like truth or facts or however you want. You can make your assumptions and try to either prove or disprove your assumptions, or you can just look at the data
Mm-hmm.
and see where the data takes you and then base your conclusion on that. And that's what Alex did. And it was mad respect. I thought I was going to get into, because we watched this on stream, if you could believe it. Um, I thought I was going to get into like, there's a lot of anti AI videos on YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. And I thought that I was getting into that kind of experience, but the vast majority of it was Alex, going and looking at the data critically and seeing what's out there and actually telling people, the facts, the truth of it all. And
Mm-hmm.
Alex has taken a lot of heat, especially on Blue Sky, because a lot of people who are anti AI, they don't want to hear that they're wrong about the thing, right? And this is one of the functions of the channel, is that people who have questions can come, and as long as they come in good faith, then we'll talk about it. There are a handful of people, or some percentage of people in my chat in this community, who are, they're not fans of AI, but they come here
Mm-hmm.
because they know I'm going to talk about it from the point of view of it. Like, we're going to look at the what the facts say and then base our decisions off that. And you can still come out anti AI, right? But just come out anti AI with the right argument and the right reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
To be able to like show your work on the way there.
100%.
Okay, so one of the things that first came to mind, and this actually relates really well to like what we had kind of talked about before, like possibly having conversations on like critical thinking and media literacy. Because now when I hear someone say like, I looked at the data and I'm just presenting facts,
Hmm.
my mind is going to, okay, and what is excluded in the data? What were the methods for collecting the data? Is that included in his analysis? Like, what are the potential biases of the people who chose to report this data but not collect this information or whatever? Like to me in the past, it would have been like, oh, data is data. This is facts are
Right.
facts, and now I'm seeing the kind of space around that that can still be, like, very easily misleading, and
Hmm.
especially in the context of, like, our kind of current political situation,
100%.
like, you see so many examples of that where it's like, "Well, I'm just showing you the facts." And it's like, "Okay, you presented one piece of data that may be accurate, but I don't know. I don't know where you sourced that data. I don't know any of the information around it, and I don't know what else it is that you might be missing here, or, like, what it is why you're calling attention to this data point and not this one."
Hmm. No, that's it,
So
that's absolutely valid. I think Alex does a very good job of coming to each of the data points critically, right? Because ultimately Alex doesn't like doesn't like the way that AI is being used. And there are, and don't get me wrong, there are a bunch of issues that I have with the way that AI was constructed and things like that. And there are currently people in the global south who are who had to do a lot of labeling. This is one of my biggest
that's
critical
one of the things
points.
that comes up for me.
Yeah. um these people were contracted to do this data labeling, and one, they're paid like, garbage wages, like $2 or less an hour. um and the other thing, what I think is the more important thing, is they were supposed to get a certain amount of, like, basically counseling, right? Because
Mm.
this is the American internet, and we're fucking weird, man. Right? Like, you go and if you start getting into, like, especially the weird sections of the, not the dark web or anything, but just the weird sections of the public internet, your 4chans and your 8chans and
E-bombs world.
E-Bombs World, Encyclopedia Dramatica, all these different places, you will see some shit, right? And we're
Mhm.
Americans and we've seen shit. So we're kind of like desensitized to a lot of that. But we
Yeah.
went to a different culture and gave them the American internet, and they just had to raw dog that shit, and it's not and then they didn't provide them with the counseling, and that I find fucking offensive as shit. I swear a
Yeah.
lot. I hope that's not a problem.
Oh, it's really my stream is gonna be so upset. Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, everyone, that you have to hear
The
that. That's just really
Christianese.
so upsetting. Oh
Um,
my. They've never heard me curse. I am a lady.
but ultimately, that problem and other problems that I have with the way that AI is currently constructed has, obviously the company's made the choice, but this is a capitalism problem. And I
Yeah,
am,
yeah.
generally anti capitalism, right? And not like I'm just, I became a leftist, ergo anti capitalism. It's like I went through a logical progression of events in order to determine that the current capitalist system as it's constructed is woefully inefficient at achieving the goals that it claims to be capable of doing. So
Yeah.
under those conditions, I think we need to do a new system, right?
Yeah.
And that underpins all of the things. Have you ever heard of Aaron Bastani?
I don't believe that I have.
Okay, so Aaron Bastani's over at Novara Media. And Aaron Bastani wrote a book called Fully Automated Luxury Communism. And
Mm.
in that book, he talks about using these tools, these automation tools, the AI and all that stuff to, to take over all the labor that human beings are currently forced to do in order to survive. And then it just becomes a matter of, distributing the resources. And that's where I want to center the conversation around AI. That is what I'm, trying to accomplish. And I've got, this is my, let's see if it works. If I do a command, can you see that? This Google Doc
Yes,
can,
I can.
okay. So that's a book list. And
Ooh, yum, yum, yum.
I created a custom GPT over at Chat GPT, and I've fed these books into it, and it's something that I can use and other people can use in order to challenge the theory, talk about the theory, and everything else. Like when I'm not online or they just have an idea or whatever. And it's a collection of the books that I put in there, and these books um, are the underpinning of everything that I believe within this space. A fully automated luxury gay space communism is a different concept. I think it's a different. It might be a book. I know somebody else did that. This is not that radium. This is fully automated luxury communism. Aaron Bastani, check him out.
Mm. Okay, let me just see some of the things people are saying in chat real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I'm curious on some of their thoughts. If you want, oh, okay, because I saw Dojo Drummer had put a government website in there, and I was like, government right now, but okay. So that was learning about the energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, I became an accountant, so of course I became anti-capitalist. Yeah. Okay, so I appreciate that. I'm interested. I saved that list so that I can take a peek at it.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about the things that you are anti, and I think it sounds like you and I are on the same page on a lot of those.
Probably.
Where would you like to see things going then? If not capitalism, what's your vote? To which is kind of a funny word to use there. What would be your vision?
What I want to see, and this is where like the extremity of my opinions on where we should take this is one of those places where I come into conflict with a lot of people who are like
Juicy.
interested in my ideas but feel it offends them on a deep level. I think
Mm,
all work should be automated, all labor should be automated,
mm,
all of it, art, poetry, music, factory work, everything. Because if we can automate everything, then the only work that's left being done by humans is the work that humans want to do. It's the only way to get there. If we exclude some parts, right, in the interest of like people like not feeling bad about something, then some people will be forced to work for other people. And that is the problem that I have, right?
So when you, because like you
And
had me in the first half,
real
absolutely.
understood.
Go ahead.
Real
Go
quick.
ahead.
I am a professional artist. This is my work. If you can see this little rectangle here, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
professional artist. I make art. Like I was doing art, and then the AI came and started doing art, and I was like, well, I thought I was good, right? Um, and it turns out I wasn't. Here's another. If that's too far away, this is another. This is one of my favorite pieces, right?
Hmm.
It's called the Future Primitives, and it's got like all this capitalism stuff, but then it's like the cave painting hand on the wall kind of thing, right? So I make art, right? And I'm not saying we need to automate art so that the art is like corporate art or whatever. I want people to create the art that means something to them, right? And I look at art as a two-part process. There's the part that the artist does, right? Like I created this. I didn't create this for anyone else. I created this for me. Also
Mm-hmm.
the only piece I have that's named. Most of my pieces are just I just make them, right? Um and when I created this, I was saying something and I was having an emotional connection with the work and I was putting it in there and I did everything I wanted to do and then I was done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I were to give this or sell this or what have you to someone else, then they would have, as an observer, a different relationship with the piece. And it's why most of my pieces aren't named. I don't want to intrude on the relationship between an observer and the piece, right? I want you, if you look at it and you feel some kind of way, then that's the way I want you to feel. I want you to have an emotional impact. I want you to feel that thing. I want you to recognize, I want you to go through that process. If you can bring another person into that with you, then the two of you can have that experience. But I don't want to intrude on it. You know what I mean? I don't want to say, oh, this is, the streets of Philadelphia or whatever. And when somebody says, oh, it really makes me feel of this time where I was in the woods and I was like hearing all these birds, and then I'm like, no, streets of Philadelphia, right? Like that's the kind of stuff that I attempt to avoid by removing myself from that relationship. And that's why I believe, again, automating all work, right? And the AI, the robots, like there's not any. I don't believe that there's going to be like any value in whatever definition of that term makes you happy. Any value in the robot doing like pencil art. What I believe is going to happen, or would happen under those conditions, and I understand it's rather utopian, right? But that's where I'm aiming for. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
aiming
And that was
for.
the question of like, what is your vision? So
Right.
I'm with it.
Is that under those conditions, the example I like to give people is that the fully automated system would make sure that everyone who needs a cane has a cane. But
Mm-hmm.
then the artist can carve a cane for someone who needs a cane or wants a cane or whatever. And under those conditions, there's like an expression of, love and respect or what have you, where that person made something for you, right? No one who needs a cane doesn't have a cane, right? The canes will be
Mm-hmm.
available to everyone, but there will still be the opportunity for these special connections between people. It'll also be a situation where if we're not concerned about like acquiring resources, then people will engage in more connection with each other. They'll have the opportunity to engage in
Yeah,
more
that I'm
connection.
very, very for.
Yeah, and it will be making like food for each other. We'll be hanging out in groups, sharing whatever it is that we're sharing with each other and all that kind of thing. And like you want to go and hang out in the woods for a couple months, you can do that, right? And then you come back and tell us about your adventure kind of thing, right? Again, I understand it's utopian, but the whole point is that we aim for where we want to
Mhm.
go and then attempt to get there. It might never get to the utopia, but that's what I want.
Yeah. I agree with that, especially compared to the alternative of, like, let's aim for the bare fucking minimum of this stuff to just try to keep this, like, really busted ass non-democracy functioning in order to keep capitalism going because there's some idea that the free market saves everyone, and I don't buy into that. So, like, I think you and I maybe spoke on it briefly too, like, that's part of what was drawing me to the idea of, like, solar punk was that idea of like it's stuff you can do right now and it's pointing towards a future that I think is entirely possible,
Hmm.
one that is more harmonious, doesn't reject technology, but doesn't make it this tool of capitalism anymore, where the technology only serves to like further fuck people over, keep us divided, sell us advertisements, get us to buy shit, you
Hmm.
know?
Absolutely. And one of the like I avoid ists and isms because like if I say like I'm an anarchist, then all of a
Mhm.
sudden and maybe not you, but someone who hears that is going to take whatever their vision of anarchist is and put that between us, right? That lens is going to
Mhm.
be there. And I don't want that, right? Like I want to talk about
Yeah.
policy, I want to talk about things and like that. That being said, if people want to call me an anarchist, it wouldn't offend me because it's generally within that thing. And one of the biggest challenges that anarchism as a political construct has is scale. It's very good
Yeah.
in small community based stuff, but when you try to expand it, to larger and larger units, you end up, it kind of breaks down. One of
Yeah.
the things that we found over the course of doing this stream for like 2.5 years um was this idea of swarm based conversational AI, right? Where you have this like AI observer within your community chat, and that AI observer is like, and I understand that the idea of AI listening to the conversation of the community can make people's hair stand on end, but just
Mhm.
just imagine it in a good way, okay? To understand the concept of what I'm trying to get. So you have this AI observer, and then the AI observer takes the conversation that you have, right? Like you're talking about resource distribution and needs and all this stuff for your community. And then it takes that and it spreads it out to other communities autonomously. And then theirs are doing the same thing. So while we are able to have this kind of like anarcho socialist um, situation going on, we're also taking care of the larger resource distribution. Oh, these people have extra resources over here because of what they're doing. Let's see if these people over here could use some of that stuff. And it allows for that greater scaling effect without disrupting that autonomous collective type vibe.
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate, by the way, especially given, like, I teach meditation and stuff, so when it comes to identity, I really value people who will say, like, "Yeah, I like these ideas. I like some of these concepts, and I don't need to be labeled as an anarchist,"
Hmm.
because there are a lot of people who are gonna hear that and be like, "Oh, you wanna burn it all to the
Right.
ground." 'Cause like, what I've been seeing lately, about anarchy, I'm like, "Damn, I was misled. This shit is cool.
Right.
I really like this." And then, the same thing, I'm not trying to claim a title of almost anything because I think it's so limiting.
Hmm.
I think the only one that I have said, like, this one I would stand by because I can't imagine how someone would, like, fuck that up. Like, the interpretation of it is liberationist.
Hmm.
Like, I believe in liberatory principles. I believe in the idea of, like, people should be free, all beings should be free. So, like, I put that actually on my, like, stream tags as the one thing,
Hmm.
because like I just again, like I also very much enjoy what I've learned about anarchy, and I like the idea of the free association. I like the idea of being able to just kind of like have these smaller groups with the understanding that technology allows us to have that and maintain connection
Mhm.
outside of that. So, very much respect and appreciate all of that. Going back to what you had said about like your vision, um, the distinction I'm understanding is that when you are talking about work and, like, creativity, creative work is included in that.
Mhm.
You're talking about work, being produced, like, for someone's purpose versus just, like, someone going out to a lake and, like, writing a poem about how beautiful the water is. Am I kind of understanding that?
I mean, functionally, yes, because there is no like what I'm looking to do is replace, like the idea of value, right? That comes up in both capitalist and communist, theories, right? Like the labor theory of value and all that other stuff. The idea of value, your process of going to a lake and writing a poem doesn't necessarily like have any wide-ranging value to society, except
Mhm.
when it does. You know what I mean? Like on
Yeah.
Golden or not on Golden Pond, but like Whitman and those kind of guys, right? Like or folks. Um, I just think that there should be nothing required of other humans when it comes to labor, right?
That I'm with.
And I understand, like, because one of the critiques that comes from like the right and liberals is the idea that you are not entitled to other people's labor, and
Mhm.
rather than thank you, Walden Pond, trying to get past that critique, right? Not fight over the critique, but get past it. So if we automate the thing, then no one's labor is being taken, right? It's our labor, right? It's collectively
Mhm.
the machine doesn't and all of this of course assumes that the machines are not conscious or any of that. We're leaving all that philosophy to the side.
Yeah.
Assuming that the robots are just robots and they are not, doing iRobot or anything else. Um the robot doesn't give a shit, right? The robot is there to work, and the robot's labor can then be shared by everyone without imposing on another human being's labor. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's all the stuff that I'm trying to get rid of. And that includes making art for the collective, right? Like, in as much as a logo or a piece of corporate art or what have you is like labor that is production of product rather than creating art for the sake of creating art, all that should be automated, right? Like if we need
Mhm.
something to look a certain way, then yeah, let's have the AI do it, right? It'll throw up the thing and it'll look like whatever. But if a person wants to do it and they have the option to do it rather than being forced to do it in order to exchange that time and effort for resources, then
Yeah.
they can do it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that anyone is going to get to the point where like at least in the current crop of humans, right? Like some
Yeah.
future humans may get weird or feel different or what have you. And I use weird non pejoratively.
Yeah.
Um the generally speaking, if this were to happen tomorrow kind of thing, we would have humans who want to watch other humans act. They are not going to want to watch the robots act. One second, I'm
Yeah.
getting a raid.
Oh, you getting a raid. Cute, fun. Oh, you were even mentioning this person.
This is James from the internet. James is a homie. James has been very supportive of my channel and like that. And these are the James from the internet friends and my friends and now your friends. Friends, this is
Friend.
this is She Snaps. Reed, can I get a shout out for James and for She Snaps at your convenience, please? Um, and James apparently met you many moons ago.
I
James.
know, I'm like, boy, I feel like that name is familiar aside from the jokes that are running through my head of like, "Ah, yes, James from the internet." Like, there is some familiarity popping up there, but I also don't my memory's not the best, and I've been streaming for 10 years.
Yeah, no, that'll do it. Um, and it looks like, yeah, L. You have different people who have cross community and like that already,
Uh-huh.
and I'm a big fan of community. I and very positive community. Like, I'm low drama. I don't have any time for that fucking shit.
Mhm.
Drama is just like, it's non-productive, right? I want to
Mhm.
do stuff. We,
Mhm.
allegedly have a limited time on this planet, and I want to do that. I am not speaking with redolent thought, CMS. Apparently, I have an old Stream Elements thing tied to the guest.
Oh, fun.
Anyways,
Fun.
chat.
Just a quick
She
little pause
snaps.
there
She snaps.
too.
Chat. Go ahead.
Hello, hello, friends. You had mentioned like your low drama, and so I just wanted to like take a chance here to be like the like teacher in the room coming in with her class and being like, now class, because we do have some kind of guidelines in my stream as well about like anything is open for conversation, provided that you can be kind about it, provided you can be compassionate. And that includes like passive aggressive commentary. Like, we don't need any of that here.
Hmm.
So, friends, those of us who are new to each other, especially, let's try to keep that in mind that we can disagree with each other without any kind of pettiness. 'Cause the, like, LOL, okay kind of energy,
Hmm.
ooh, it just makes me feel feelings. We don't need that.
Right.
Like, we're all trying to gain some kind of deeper understanding of each other, so let's try to keep it chill in that regard. I think, like, everyone is perfectly capable of that. No, you can be a jackass. I believe jackassery is acceptable. I believe that pettiness and passive aggressiveness is not the same as being a jackass, and I don't think that that is necessary at all.
Yeah, we are all aware of what's currently going on between Elon and Donald. So, and that is not the kind of drama that we're talking about. We're talking about drama for drama's sake, and cycles of
Mhm.
drama and like that. And um yeah, I am generally, I don't think I have many people in the community who are like super snarky like that, right? Like super passive aggressive. um as long as people don't like they are. I have like antibodies and white blood cells that if somebody comes in and pops off in the wrong way, like they just
Mm.
seek them out. And like, it's like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I feel that. I think that that can be kind of entertaining, and when it comes to,
You
like,
know what I'm
different
gonna do? I'm gonna get myself
conversations
an
about especially, like,
1967 Cadillac Eldorado convertible.
heavier
Hot
things
pink
coming up,
with a whale skin
if you want to address
hubcaps,
that, go
an
ahead.
all leather cow
Oh,
interior, and big
thank
brown
you,
baby seal
TMS
eyes for
the
headlights.
goat,
Yeah,
for the 5 pack there. I'm just gonna turn down the alert because this is a different kind of vibe than normally. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I don't know if you know who Redolent Thought is, or there's also another streamer, Emma Graceless, and they do chaos streams. Like, chat has
Mm.
amazing amounts of control over what's happening on the screen, and
Mm.
that's a bit much, right? Um, and then there are other streamers who are like, this is my stream, and we're going to do what I want to do and do what I say and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not that far, right? I want people to have fun. I want them to do the whole thing. And in that, I give chat some things that they can do to, spice up the stream and like have some commentary and like that. And they're all great about it. That's the thing, is they'll
Mhm.
use it like, they'll wait for me to like stop making a point and then hit the button. You know what I mean?
That's nice for all the, like, random stuff. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
actually wanted to set up some of the chaos because I like it, and one of the things that I appreciate about the community that, like, we've managed to build over the years is that people know it can all exist at once. So we can be having a conversation about like grief or something traumatic, something very heavy,
Hmm.
and simultaneously be having conversations about like poop and fart jokes, or
Hmm.
someone will be checking what their dick name is in chat because of course, in the interest of self-discovery, you got to know what your dick or snatch name is,
Right.
right? So like I'm with that. Just with that kind of like primary rule of like I don't think that antagonism, aside from in a fuckery sense,
Hmm.
like you can antagonize me all you want, but I don't think antagonism towards others, especially those with differing viewpoints, helps any of us.
Right.
So I'm very over that. And even when it comes to like trolls coming in, that's one of the things that I think previously it used to be like a roast the trolls kind of situation, and it
Hmm.
has shifted over the years to like, let's try to figure out what this person is feeling because like that's not like healthy adaptive behavior. That's someone who is in some way suffering, and those are people who I care about.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like the ground rules beneath that is like I'm really trying not to turn my back on anyone because I just don't think that serves us, especially where we are today, you
Right.
know?
No, absolutely. And I don't do pets or, the chud bashing or any of that. Occasionally, I don't get a whole lot of that kind of behavior because I'm talking about AI, and
Mhm.
and it's like, who is this guy and what is he talking about and like that. But occasionally we do get someone, and
Mhm.
it really comes down to just, like, I take them seriously rather than like getting, upset, or them getting a reaction out of me. And I've had some people who are trolls who come in and are disarmed, and then they end up sticking around. And other ones, they're disarmed and then they go away. And then very infrequently do we have to like remove somebody. But that's only
Yeah.
because there's a threshold. And if you cross
Yeah.
that threshold, then you're just going to be removed, because I care about, the 20, 30, 40, whatever many people in the chat more than this one person, right? Like, as
Yep.
long as everybody comes in good faith, and you're gonna like, we're here to learn and also have a good time, edutainment, all that, then,
Yeah.
then it's cool. But if you are, if you're just being a problem to being a problem, I'm not the guy. Apparently she snaps is more than willing
Not
to.
the guy necessarily. There's definitely a limit. What's been really interesting for us lately is that people are typically disarmed also by, like, the lack of, aggressive response that they get.
Mhm.
And so, we used to have a thing called Troll Bingo. I don't have it up anymore, but we just had like an interactive bingo board that would auto shuffle so that people could open up a troll bingo card at the beginning of stream, and then someone would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, personal attack. Oh, that's a appearance insult. Oh, he called you a whore. Okay, I'm marking it." And then we'd see who won, right? Because it was
Right.
very fun to remind them like this is all so incredibly fucking predictable. You are not going to surprise me with some shit that you say. So most of the time when they don't really like get the response they're looking for, when I'm not like, "Oh, you think I'm ugly?"
Right.
Then they just kind of see themselves out.
Hmm.
It is so rare that I have to actually ban someone these days, and it usually only happens when they start pointing at people in chat and going after them. Because like,
Yeah.
say what you gotta say about me, but I'm not gonna like, my stream is focused on mental health and mindfulness and whatever else. That's not a space where I am gonna let someone, like, target someone in the community.
Hmm.
But honestly, what's been really interesting lately is I'll just be like, "I think I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Like, I don't appreciate the way you're handling this," and then they'll just leave. I don't even have to ban them. 'em. They're like, "Alright,
Hmm.
bye." Like,
Yeah. No,
they're just people.
they're in that pattern, right, of
Mhm.
response, and that's how they're getting their dopamine and everything else. And it's just,
Mhm.
I'm not going to do that, right? Like,
Mm-mm.
I'm more than happy to educate anyone who comes in, and I'm going to treat you with the proper amount of respect and everything else. um but like, I'm the same way. Like, you will not talk to the other chatters, like
Mhm.
that. I'm a mod in a bunch of places, and it's the same kind of thing. Talk shit to me, you can talk shit to the streamer if that's what they want, right? Like, but
Mhm.
you will not be going after other chatters. We're not going to have any of that. Let's be adults. And if you can't be,
Mhm.
or whatever, if you can't handle that, then this is not the place for you, and you can either go, or I can help you find the door.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you on that. Okay. So going back
Mhm.
because, like, the raid came in and,
Yeah.
like, also hi anyone who I haven't had a chance to, like, say hi to, anyone from my community or any of the other new community members, any of you, like, I'm really happy that you're all here hanging today. This is my first time getting to yap with Globus, like, directly, which is really fun because I think both of us could probably talk for a long time just about, like, the the direction we're facing in the room right now. Like, we could
Mhm.
probably go absolutely everywhere. And I do wanna go back to what you were saying, and I saw someone else asking about, like, what my vision is after we kind of talked about yours. But I wanna go back to what you were saying about how you wanna see all work be automated,
Mhm.
because like, that aspect of it, that's something I also don't often, get the best feedback from outside of, like, my community on Twitch when I
Mhm.
say, like, "I don't think anyone should have to work." I
Correct.
think it's pretty fucking stupid that we have this incredible abundant planet, and I'm like, "Oh, TPS reports." Like, this is some dumb shit, you know? Like,
Right.
people should be out frolicking. There should be whimsy. We should be delighting in these natural resources that we have, and instead, there's so many made up jobs. There's so many, like, layers of management for the dumbest possible shit.
Mhm.
So I've said the same thing, like, I think everyone should have housing, food, healthcare, education, and if they want stuff beyond that, sure, dude, like, go get a job. But if you're not a person who wants stuff beyond that, then you deserve to be free.
Mhm.
Like, it's so ridiculous to imagine that we're born into this planet and are already in debt, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
To
my
whom?
daughter has existed for 4 years, and there's already, like, medical bills that have been addressed to her, and it's just so ridiculous to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. So do you see UBI as a part of your, like, kind of future vision of this kind of utopian idea that you have? Or is there something else that you envision with the idea of, like, robots kind of running shit?
Um, so you the
UTI.
UTI, the Universal Thriving Income. Um, but UBI is like one of those things, I believe in some form of resource distribution, and the joke is whether you
Mm.
call it UBI or UTI or Happy Suntime or, Happy Ice Cream Sunday, like, whatever you call it, I don't care, right? Like, I just what does it do, right? And what it needs
Mhm.
to do. Does everyone have a house? Does everyone have food? Does everyone have clothing? Does everyone have internet? Does everyone have electricity? Does everyone have all the things that they need not only to survive, but to thrive? If your
Mhm.
answer to that question is yes, then I'm more than happy to have a discussion about like what form it should take and everything else. But if people want to come and they say, well, no, like, if people need to work in order to get the thing, well, then you are okay with some people dying because they are unable to work or whatever. And if you're okay with people dying, like, we can't have a conversation because we're
Yeah.
operating on two different wavelengths.
Yeah, we live in very different worlds in that regard.
Hmm.
Okay. So you were kind of mentioning that you envisioned some of the resource distribution being something that the, like, AI would be addressing or the robots or however you would wanna kind of consider that.
Hmm.
Um, do you anticipate maybe that's not the right word. Do you have some kind of idea in your mind of, what greed would be, or how greed would be addressed? Or in this kind of vision that you have for the future, is it because people's needs are met and, like, healthcare, mental health care being a part of that, like, a
Hmm.
lot of the things that would contribute to or create something like greed would essentially be done for?
I tend to think that way. As like all the data indicates, like from the section of like crime, right? A lot of
Mhm.
crime gets cleared away once people just have enough resources, because a lot of
Yeah.
crime, on the number of people doing it scale, disappears because it's all based on not having survival instincts kicking in and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
At the other end, it's basically like hoarding behavior, right? Like,
Mhm.
and people have hoarding behavior, and they, they're doing stuff that under some conditions, right? Like, they will make a TV show showing these people with their houses filled with like newspapers from fuck all ago and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But if you change that from newspapers to money, then all of a sudden that same type of behavior becomes a virtue. And that is weird, right? Like that
Yeah,
is that is
agreed.
strange. So I think that I I don't want to, armchair pathologize people or anything else. I just think that a lot of people who are in that space of like accumulating these vast sums and these, these desires for power and control of other people and everything else, that they are suffering from something, right? Like they are
Yeah.
maladapted to the world as it is, and then they attempt to, like, and the biggest example is Elon, right? Like when you
Yeah.
watch Elon move through the world, his behavior, if you change his socioeconomic status and look at that same type of behavior, he is maladapted for being around
Yeah.
other people. So like we would address that. And that's I'm a big believer in radical empathy, right? So
Same.
like I understand that Elon is a prick and a bastard and does a lot of hateful shit. I want Elon to have health care. I want Elon to be better. I don't want,
Mhm.
I understand the joke of bagel cutters and everything else. I don't I don't actually want that, right? Like I actually want just Jeffy and Elon and all these other folks to just be better, right? And what can we
Yeah.
do to help them be better? Because they're broken, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. That I think you and I very much are in agreement on that, and that's one of the things that I receive, I think, the most pushback on, across the board is the idea that, like, I'm currently, like, pro, prison and police abolition, like, I don't see a
Mhm.
world where or I don't see the need to have this carceral system. I don't think that punitive measures are really helping anyone.
Mhm.
I think people who are motivated by like shame and guilt and fear are people who are still eh, there's still a lot of risk there. You don't really know where they're gonna go with it. And I think it causes more harm than good. So like I'm for that. Like I think in a healthy, sane society, we would see behavior like Elon, like Trump, and we would say like we need to make sure that they have health and support
Mhm.
because or help and support because clearly like any of us could have been them.
Mhm.
And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is the idea that if you lived his exact life, you would make different choices. You simply would not be this bastard.
Mhm.
You would use all your money for good, but then like you don't know. You don't
Right.
know what it's like to have lived his life with his mother or to have gone through the stuff that Trump went through as a child. And so I think like having compassion for them does not mean no accountability.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean like, we just let them keep doing awful things, but I think we can still treat people with human dignity and stop them from causing harm.
Mhm.
And like I just saw someone saying you need some kind of pie, saying you need some kind of prisons for violent and dangerous criminals. I don't know that prison is the word that I personally would want to use there. I agree that we would need to have some way to address people who are not safe in society,
Mhm.
people who will continue to cause harm for whatever reason, and I don't think that it has to be so demeaning and disgusting to the point where, they go into a place where violence and rape are not just the norms, but are the, like, glorified norms
Mhm.
where people are laughing about, don't drop the soap and stuff. Like,
Right.
we shouldn't be laughing about the idea that someone could commit a crime and then go be violated by the rest of their lives.
Right.
And like when we go into the types of things happening in their brains, there may be some folks who cannot be rehabilitated. Does that mean they are meant to suffer for the rest of their lives, or does that mean that they need to be separated
Mhm.
and still treated with compassion and care?
Right.
And I think there are a lot of people who still struggle with that idea that someone could do atrocious things and they view it almost as like being rewarded. Like you go to like a what is it, like Scandinavian or like a Swedish prison
Hmm.
where they have like they look like dorms
Hmm.
and they have jobs and they do these things and they see that as like they're not getting punished hard enough for the awful things they did. And I'm just so opposed to that idea that punishment is needed at all.
Right. No, I'm 100%, right? Like I am about rehabilitation and like punishment is, self-replicative, right? Like you end up even if that person never offends again, there's something about the process that they're going to experience within that prison system that they're going to end up putting on people around them. In the majority,
Mhm.
you will hear rare stories of the person who turns their life around when they get out, but that's actually like, part of the problem where you can show someone like that as being away from the norm. Well, it's the norm that I give a fuck about, right? Like,
Yeah.
not the rare people who are able to do that much, work in and of itself. And also the other thing, like within that context, there's an entire process between birth and whenever they got caught for doing whatever they were doing, which led to that situation, right? It's
Mhm.
not like they were born bad, right? Because if you start thinking that certain people are born bad, that leads you into bad choices and bad
Yes.
decision making, right?
Yes.
Regarding people. They went through a process to get there. By undermining the negative aspects of that process, we get fewer of those people. By
Yes.
increasing the amount of healthcare and mental health care and resources that people have, you're going to get less people who are in that situation that like they need to be like separated, right?
Yep.
And that's the thing. It's a holistic system. A lot of people go, like they expect this is the way things are today, and we're going to turn around tomorrow and just let all the people out of jail. It's like,
Yeah.
no, like we
Prison
took
abolition means just open the doors.
right, we took thousands of years to get where we are. It's going to
Mhm.
take a while to get to a better space. But like we need to start working in that direction instead of continuing to reinforce these things.
Yes, that's one of the reasons in my community I tell people pretty consistently, like, I don't believe in the word evil in this context. I really think that it's unsupportive of our goals
Hmm.
to be going around and just saying, like, I don't feel any compassion, any empathy for, like, the people currently in power, for example,
Hmm.
because they are evil, they're monsters. And I would make the distinction they are behaving monstrously,
Hmm.
like, it's despicable, it's disgusting, and I think that as soon as we apply that label of, well, they're evil, it all curiosity ceases. And now we have this label, and based on whatever it is we're kind of feeling, whatever frameworks we're thinking in at the time, now we have a whole bunch of people who fit in that label. And now, because we have so effectively cut them out of our hearts, we don't care what happens to those people.
Yep.
And I think any time that we are able to see another human being, no matter how atrociously they have behaved, anytime we're able to see them and say, I want bad things to happen to you, I want you to suffer,
Hmm.
we are getting caught up in that same cycle. That kind of shit is just continuing to be fueled from us, and we are going to replicate this cycle of hatred and abuse and violence, whether intentionally or not,
Hmm.
like through our language, through our state of being, through whatever. And I envision a world where things are a lot more like you were kind of saying holistic, where we are looking for the causes and conditions behind these things. Because for some folks, that idea just like certain things, they will be like, no, I don't want to understand them. I want them to die.
Hmm.
Like pedophiles, for example, like such a difficult thing for someone to imagine that I would want them also to be treated with compassion.
Hmm.
Like, that is a really hard thing, and I get it because it's horrific, it's atrocious, it should not be something that is possible to happen,
Hmm.
and when it does, I don't think that person needs to then be thrown in solitary or abused for the rest of their lives, especially when we consider, God, I wish I remembered, the context of the quote, but I had heard, "No one enters into violence the first time by committing it."
Hmm.
And I think that's, like, one of the best things to kind of point at is, like, even in the instance of someone doing something as awful like pedophilia, where did that come from?
Hmm.
Where did that come from? They were a baby, like you said, they didn't start out bad. Was this something that happened as a result of something going on in their brain? Is it a neurological thing? Is it a situation because of them having suffered abuse? Where did it come from?
Hmm. No, and it's one of those things. There are some subjects that streaming is not conducive to really having a good discussion about, right? Like
Mhm.
because of the nature of entertainment, because of the nature of like being here and everything else. But there are serious, it does it fall in that same parameters. That person who did that terrible thing, whatever that terrible thing happens to be,
Mhm.
started as a child. They were born. Were they born bad? If you don't believe that they were born bad, then there was a process. How do we
Yep.
fix that process so that it doesn't happen again? Just like shutting people away, pretending that they don't exist does not address the issues. It does not address, and people understand this in a variety of spaces, right? Like, so
Mhm.
when I say they did something bad, if I say they murdered somebody, they murdered 10 people, they murdered 20 people, people can appreciate, right? Like, well, that person went through this process and then this thing happened. But there are certain
Mhm.
crimes that once you get to that point, no, fuck that person. They need to be shut away in a
Yes.
box forever or burnt at the stake or what have you. But it's all the same thing, right? Like, and it says more about me, right? How I feel that they should be treated than it does about them. And
Yeah.
that's another thing that people have to understand is that you're not talking about them because they did what they did and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. We're talking about you now. Like, what do you
Mhm.
think? What kind of world do you want to live in? And that's the world that I want to live in, is like where we're eliminating the problem. How do we eliminate the problem? Do we eliminate crime by taking the criminals and putting them in jail, or do we eliminate crime by providing the resources that people need so they don't have to commit the crime anymore? I
Mhm.
that's how I roll, and that
Mhm.
applies to whatever it is we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm very much on board with that, and that's something I think that, like, the idea of, like, some conversations are really not suited for this platform. I'm so grateful that this is the platform that we're, like, having these discussions, because some platforms are way fucking harder, at least
Yeah.
in this, we have enough time to kind of see some of the things people are saying and point at them and say, "Okay, like, we're speaking with as much nuance as possible here."
Hmm.
And that is something, like, if you and I were just, like, fucking Twitter content creators or something, like, there's no room for nuance there.
Hmm.
There's no room in, like, a YouTube short to have enough nuance to discuss all of this stuff in a way that isn't really alienating. Because,
100%.
like, the reality is so many people have suffered different forms of violence, and like you were saying, it says a lot about, like, us, right? We start to see, like, well, this is something that feels personal to me because, as someone was saying, is like, well, if it's my kid,
Hmm.
then, or, well, if it was the person who hurt me, then. So we start to see that, like, some of these roots are within us.
Hmm.
And there's a quote that I was looking for that I have from, Thich Nhat Hanh, where he was speaking on how the roots of violence are in all of us, so even if we dismantle all of the bombs, we will just make more bombs
Hmm.
until we confront the reality that it's in all of us. And I think there are a number of people who still have not done enough self-inquiry, enough, like, genuine exploration of what it is that it kinda comes up within their minds and bodies
Hmm.
to see that that is there, that there is greed within us, that there is hatred, that there is anger, that there is violence, and if we aren't working at an individual and systemic level, then it's just gonna keep perpetuating. We're in this for fucking ever.
Yeah, and there's also like the interconnected nature of the internet and the interconnected nature of our world at this point in time. One of the I don't want to say negative aspects, but one of the challenges that comes along with knowing a lot of stuff is that you also get a kind of vicarious trauma from watching
Mm,
terrible things happen to perfectly nice people, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you watch what's going on over in the Middle East, if you watch what's going on in Ukraine, if you watch what's going on, here, there, if you watch what's going on in California with people living on the street, like, depending on who you are and how you grew up and everything else, each of those things is going to affect you differently. And you're going to intake this trauma and then not resolve it, right? You're not
Yeah.
going to go to therapy about it. You're not going to do anything. And you end up just having that within you. And at a certain point, like, you used a particular phrase, but it reminded me of another one. There, but for the grace of God, go I. Right? Like,
Hmm.
at any point in time, like, and like, I'm an atheist, but it is what it is. The
Now you fit my definition of an atheist. I now see
I
you as an
am
atheist. That is
edgelord.
all you are.
I will debate you about your religion. Um, the you're just, you end up with this stuff, and then it needs a place to go, and then you
Mm,
do something with it, and it might even feel good at the moment, but because you didn't resolve it, right? You didn't
yeah.
resolve the underlying trauma, you didn't resolve the thing, and you're going to go back on Twitter tomorrow and see a whole bunch of shit again. Like, that's not a solution, right? Like, we all could end up, we're all like, the thing is like, we're all like three hot meals from a bad decision kind of thinking, like,
Yeah.
if all of a sudden you lose your job and you lose your house and you lose all this, what are you going to do, right? Like, your kid has a hungry belly. What are you going to do? And I
Hmm.
don't think that people really, like, the idea of radical empathy, really engage with what empathy actually means. Like, a lot of people feel that they're empathetic, but they're empathetic within these boundaries. And that's fine. That's
Yeah.
great. I love that for you. I'm just saying that it's bigger than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. How would you personally define the difference between empathy and sympathy and compassion?
Well, like, empathy is where I can put myself in the position of the other person. I can see
Hmm.
myself in that. Sympathy is where I feel something where someone else was like, hurt or pained or inconvenienced or something like that, but it's like external from them, right? Like, it's
Mm,
about me, not about them. Where empathy is me becoming them, right? And feeling that
yeah.
kind of pain. And what was the third one?
Compassion.
Compassion. Compassion is, I don't know how I would define compassion.
I
Um
would define compassion as like the empathy plus an active force. Compassion
mhm,
is empathy in action.
that'll work.
It's that, like, even if all I can do right now is wish for your circumstances to change, like a
Hmm.
genuine, like heartfelt, like, my God, if there was something I could do, I would do it right now. That's how I would define it.
Yep.
And, I appreciated the way that it was coming up because it kind of brought something to mind in Buddhism. They have these ideas of, like, the Brahma Viharas. Are you familiar with those?
Yeah, maybe I just might not know the name.
Okay, yeah, I think they also are considered, like, the divine abodes. There's a couple of different ways to refer to them, but there's sympathetic joy, there's equanimity, there's compassion and loving kindness.
Mhm.
And when within each of these that you're kind of working to cultivate, they describe what are, like, the near enemies and the far enemies of those things.
Mhm.
And, like, for compassion, one of the near enemies is pity. And I think that's something that people don't necessarily realize is a kind of force, like an energy within them that is very limiting.
Your voice got weird.
Oh no, what happened?
I don't
Is
know.
it better?
No.
Oh no. Is it just weird? It's weird for everyone? Oh, I wonder if it's my GoXLR again. It's been fucky lately. La 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 la. Okay, let me see if I can fix it. Did it do anything?
Negative.
Son of a biscuit eating bulldog.
Well,
Okay.
we're good. We're good. You did it.
Oh, I did it?
Yep. I don't know what you did, but you did it, and we're moving on.
Yahoo! Yeah, so basically I think, I gotta remember how it is that that came up in my mind. because we were kind of talking about like seeing others and actually wanting to like do something about it. And I think that's where it was coming up, was something to the extent of like, I think sometimes the closest people can get to connecting to the plight of others is to pity.
Mhm.
And I think that that is something that we wanna, like, be mindful of, to watch for, is, like, when we start to feel ourselves experiencing pity,
Mhm.
there is a separation there.
Mhm.
There is some distinction that your mind is making that's saying, like, "Yeah, I feel bad for them,
Right.
but I would never,
Right.
but I would never." And that kind of energy is really upsetting for me now, like you were saying, like, this idea that so many people think that they are, in this kind of holier than thou space, but what happens when you're hungry? What happens when your child is hungry? What happens when you don't have your meds
Mhm.
because the administration has decided you don't deserve them? What happens when you are untreated just period and never get any kind of medication or support for whatever it is that might be happening to you?
Mhm.
And then you pair that with the internet, right? Like, I think the sooner all of us recognize how possible it is for us to not just commit crime or cause harm, but to have like a full on psychotic break, for us
Mhm.
to behave in ways we could never believe imaginable, I think we would take ourselves more seriously and do the inner work.
Mhm. And like for me, it comes down to the whole, in the capitalist versus socialist kind of thing. Like the neoliberal mindset is that rugged individualism, right? And that you can make correct choices to achieve
Mhm.
stuff. Where from the more socialist mindset, right, the thinking is we're a community and we need to take care of each other. And if
Yes.
you are viewing yourself as a socialist or something in that mindset, right? Not necessarily that. Maybe you're a liberal, but like a well-meaning liberal, wherever you want to put yourself in that zone, right?
I love the well-meaning liberal.
A little bit of shade, a little bit of shade. Some of my best
Just
friends are
just a
liberals.
wee bit. And I love that for you.
I love saying that's one of my favorite phrases. I love that for you. I play a lot of board games. Every Sunday, I hang out with friends and we play board games. And whenever my one friend who's really good makes a mistake and he's like, "Oh, I fucked up. I did whatever," I said, "I love that for you."
I say it a lot, usually unironically, and one of the
Hmm.
friends in the community was like, "Whenever you say that, I still kind of interpret it as that, so maybe that's something worth checking." And I'm like, "Oh, man, I love that for me."
Um, but you just if you picture yourself in this zone, right, in this nebulous cloud of thought, but you can still look at other people and say they made a bad decision, right? They made a bad choice, and I pity that, for them
Mhm.
in that context. You're doing a rugged individualism, right? And
Yeah.
you need to create like a universal way of viewing the world, right? Like in order to actually be the person that you claim to want to be.
Yes. Yes, and the rugged individualism is one of the things that, I think, like, pisses me off the most about one of the spaces that, like, I would typically find the most comfort in, and that's in, like, a wellness space, in, like, a mindfulness space, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way that capitalism has warped all of these different mindful wellness, like these ancient practices, into this idea of like, "Oh, well, I meditate every day, and so now I feel better about, like, the fucked up shit that I'm doing while I work at Google."
Right.
Like, it's okay. All you have to do is just go on retreat once a year, and then you'll feel fine, and you won't have to think about, the genocides that are happening or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, there's so much of that right now, so much of this spiritual bypassing, so much of this, like, energy of, like, "Well, everything is okay, everything is perfect, this is just a part of life, so we don't have to do anything about it, like, it will all just play itself out," and it
Right.
makes me feel so sick.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the whole, what is it, the toxic positivity, right?
Yeah.
Like that trend of toxic positivity. And I think what annoys me most about toxic positivity is how it undermined our ability to use certain terms. And
Yes.
I don't, for me, my rugged individualism, I don't give a fuck, right? Like
Mhm.
propaganda is a term that I use a lot, that is like, that sets certain people off. Like when I say I'm doing propaganda, I'm doing pro AI propaganda. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
propaganda is marketing. It's a sales pitch. You're trying to get across a certain point of view and express a certain kind of thing and that kind of thing. Propaganda in and of itself is not a bad term. It's used as a pejorative, and it's been, kind of moved into that thing, and fuck that, I'm taking it back. So I feel
Yeah.
that same way about stuff that might fall into that toxic positivity space. I think people should, like try to be more positive, and to feel more positive, in order to like accomplish goals, because when you feel real negative, the black dog chases you, and you're in your bed for 2 weeks, and you don't want to get out, and you're just, you're not doing anything. So it's like, and I got another raid.
Yeah, I saw. Go ahead.
Hi,
Hey, address
Justin.
that. I'm gonna go get more
Go
water,
get more
and I'm
water.
gonna pee in a potty really quick, okay?
Yep. What up, raiders? We're talking with She Snaps. We're hanging out. We're having a grand old conversation. Reed, you still here? Can you give me another or Michael? She Snaps shout out. She Snaps shout outs by the seashore. She Snaps shout out. I hope you had an amazing stream, Justin. Also, once again, homie, happy birthday. I know it was last week, but I hope you had a good one, and like that. Yeah, we're hanging out, we're having a conversation. You should follow all the people, right? Like do all the things, homies, support homies. Um, you know, follows are free. Look out for people. Who's my friend Globus? No, who's my friend is She Snaps? She Snaps is mindfulness, mental health. Just here, if you are ever on Twitch and you want to stay on Twitch, but like you're getting overwhelmed by like the news and the chaos or whatever, and you want a chill space to go, this is one of the spaces I recommend. You come in here, it's very positive, in a non-toxic positivity kind of way. It's very positive. It's very it's a nice touchstone to come and like chill out, and it's just like I could just be here for a while, and I don't have to worry about like, dealing with all sorts of bullshit. I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay, I have returned.
I was talking nice about you when you couldn't hear me.
Well, that's silly. Do you ever alternate the speed of your pee just to see, like, how fast you can blast it out for fun? Just out of curiosity, this has nothing to do with anything I was just doing.
Um I assume yes. I don't recall actually like intending to do it, but sure.
Okay, I was just curious.
One of my
Just a
favorite
random
things.
Fuck.
thought.
This guy is not coherent. What is going on?
One of my favorite things that I ever heard on your channel was that one time you were eating something, or you were either eating something or using your phone, and you were like, "Do not perceive me," and I love
Yeah.
that so goddamn much.
Yeah, and everyone knows now, like, if I'm reapplying, like, my lip stuff,
Mhm.
I'm like, "I'm so glad that they aren't perceiving me right now, because 'cause it'd be so awkward if you were just watching me go, like, make the face, like,
Right,
thank God they know. Or if I'm putting in eye drops or something, or taking my medicine, they don't perceive me for that.
right.
That would be absurd. Absolutely, absolutely absurd, and, thanks everyone for the validation of the thing I definitely don't. No, I do. Sometimes it's really fun. I love it when I got a full bladder and I can just be like, "All right, and we're off to the races," and then, "Oh, a little bit less, and now wee again." Okay, so before I ran out though, I saw a message from someone who was saying, like, who's doing all that in regards to the conversation about, like, spiritual bypassing and some of these things we were discussing, like, how the rugged individualism has made its way into, like, the wellness space,
Mhm.
right? And, if I'm remembering the terms right, the phrase, like, "Who's the straw man we're annihilating here?" was kind of indicating that you don't believe that this is, like, a thing, that we're kinda making up a scenario and then, like, fighting and battling this thing out. Is that straw man? Can you help clarify that for me first? 'Cause I forget some of the different things.
Yeah, that's just when you create an opponent that has an easy to debunk argument or some behavior that's
Mm.
easy to attack. That's a straw man.
Okay, so you're not saying you don't believe that? I see the message now. So what were you saying then? What is the who's doing all that? That's not all at all straw man in your brain? Hey, I'm not trying to come at you. I'm, like, genuinely curious if you're suggesting that you don't, like, buy it or if you're suggesting that this is, something that is, maybe being over amplified by, like, what it is that I was sharing. I feel that on a very personal neurodivergent level.
And one of the things that I'm always like, especially like when I get a streamer in my chat that we're having a disagreement about something, not a fight, right? Like I don't fight
Mhm,
with people, but we can have a disagreement. Um, there's a power differential, right? Like I can sit up
mhm,
here and I could talk to you and everyone's looking at me and everyone thinks I'm the hero and you're having
mhm,
to bang away on your keyboard. And while you're trying to respond to
mhm.
the thing I said 5 minutes ago, I'm just going on and completely dismantled. And it's like, I never want that, right? So, like, if I end up in a situation where I feel that that's occurring, especially with a streamer because they understand the context, then I'm going to
Yeah,
set up a conversation. I'm going to throw it right out
mm,
there. It's like, I understand the power dynamic here. So if you want to schedule a conversation, we can hash these things out. Or even like sometimes people don't want to do that. It's like then we can hash it out because I'm not all for the content, you know what I mean? I
yeah,
will do stuff off camera, right? Like I had two people who were beefing over some shit and we all got into a Discord call and it was off stream and I'm not going to say their names and we hashed it out and everybody was good because
mm,
that's what I give a fuck about. I don't
yeah,
like I want to be a streamer and I would like to be successful and awesome and amazing and have 64,000 followers and subs and all the fucking things. But ultimately I actually give a shit about the community and everything else and that's where I like direct my energy and sometimes that leaves me making choices like running pre-roll ads as opposed to ads during my stream and that might not
ugh,
be the most best thing to do, but that's what I'm doing, right? Because I don't want people to
yeah.
miss the educational portion of the content.
Yeah, oh, it sucks that the pre-rolls feel like they just don't even give you that much time anymore anyway. Like, it really is so annoying to be, in good conversations with someone who might be new to the community, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, that, like, 5-minute rant, that 5-minute ADHD rant you just went on, I got none of it. I got to learn about Big Macs." Like, "Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. That sucks."
Yeah.
Anyway, the reason I had brought that up because I saw that message and I was looking for clarification. I didn't intend for that to come as me coming at you. But the reason why I had brought it up is because that is like a very real thing that I experience in some of the circles that I'm in as a meditation teacher.
Hmm.
And as someone who is passionate about spirituality, whatever you'd want to consider it, right?
Hmm.
So it's not just a like, this is one of those things that bothers me. Like this is something that I experience and like this weekend I'm actually facilitating a group that has formed recently around kind of a spiritual premise, right?
Hmm.
And it's like a local in-person group, and I was so excited to find people who I was like, "Oh my gosh, we probably have so much in common because if you like this person, like, this feels like it unlocks, like, all these other things," right?
Hmm.
So, right now, there are no leaders through this group, we don't intend for there to ever be. we're all meeting to kind of discuss different spiritual ideas based around this main person, right?
Mhm.
And in the first meeting, they had asked me to facilitate because I have experience with that. And my job for this was to essentially create the basic framework of what the future meetings would look like,
Mhm.
how we were going to meet, what we were going to discuss, who was going to talk, whatever. So we were all sharing and talking about kind of what we wanted out of this group. And at the beginning of my kind of like introduction, I had shared this story that I'd heard. It's, called, like, the strawberry on the vine, where there's this idea that, like, a man is going through the jungle and he sees a tiger chasing him, so he runs and kind of climbs over this cliff, right? And he's hanging on to a vine and looks down and sees that there's a tiger beneath him, there's a tiger above him, and while he's holding onto this vine, a little black mouse and a little white mouse come out, and they start chewing on the vine. In that moment, he sees that there's a strawberry on the vine. And so the story ends with him just plucking the strawberry, putting it in his mouth, and saying how sweet it tasted.
Mhm.
So I'm like, "Okay, like, I feel like we're kinda between some fucking tigers right now." And, like, I really like that idea of, especially being a mindfulness meditation teacher, of being in the present and seeing all of the beautiful things we still have, right?
Mhm.
So I share this with this group, who in this initial meeting was predominantly white, and a larger portion of the group were older folks as well. Since then, the meetings have varied, way more diverse perspectives, way more diversity, period. And like I'm sharing this with this initial meeting. Towards the end of this call or this meeting, when we're all discussing like how we want to run things moving forward, an older white woman spoke up and said, "I don't want any politics here." And then a couple other white women also responded with, "Yes, yes." And we're having this meeting in a yoga studio, and the person who owns the yoga studio is like, "Yeah, you actually have to be really careful because you can't assume anyone's politics." I was teaching a yoga class, and there were, some people who were talking very openly about stuff going on, and another person started crying because they were of an opposite political identity apparently, right? Or
Mhm.
belief system, whatever. So everyone is kind of talking about this, and I'm just sitting there like, "Well, fuck." So I'm like, it's not my meeting, so I'm
Right.
just trying to, like, take everyone's feedback and write it down, and then one of the women says, like, "Because this," like, kind of gesturing to our group, "this is my strawberry." And I was just like, "Bleh." Blah, blah, like, I just wanted to just puke in everyone's shoes in that moment because, like, yeah, this isn't a political community, that's not what we were here for,
Right.
but it also, like, doesn't have to be a bad word, it doesn't have to be a taboo, right?
Mhm.
Especially given the fact that, like, what we're seeing seems so blatantly obvious that, like, okay, whatever. If you're exclusively on Fox News, I get that you are maybe not seeing this as authoritarianism. But, like, all of that aside, the next several meetings that we had, there were a number of times where someone would go to speak on something happening in their lives, and they would say, "Not to talk politics, but," and every time that happened, my tummy just did a little,
Mhm.
I felt just a little bit more like, "Oh, I don't know if I wanna be here anymore, dude. I don't know if this is it." Because,
Mhm.
like, again, I wasn't going there thinking we were gonna discuss policy,
Right.
and everything is fucking political, so the
Yes.
idea that, like, this is this woman's strawberry now, and now we can't talk about this stuff,
Mhm.
like, that really it's been eating at me. So they asked me to we rotate speakers, and whoever is running the meeting for the week gets to decide, like, what podcast episode or lecture or whatever of this particular person we listen to, and the entire outline of the meeting is up to them. So, like, we've done chanting before for people who are into things like kirtan. We did chanting. We've done different little breakout groups, different types of meditations, lots of open discussion. And so this time I was asked to facilitate again.
Mhm.
And so I found a lecture from the person who we're meeting kind of around that is political as fuck. And, it's spiritual as fuck, and he's talking about all of this stuff without getting into it being a political discussion,
Right.
right? So this week now, like this weekend actually, I'm gonna be leading this meeting, and I'm bringing this forth again as a like, okay, so in our earlier meeting when we kind of set the ground rules for this, This is one of the rules that many people agreed with, and I have been sitting with it, and it has been fucking me up.
Mhm.
And so I wanna bring it up here and, like, put it out as, like, I don't think that we should have a taboo around politics.
Mhm.
I don't think this is a space where we need to discuss and, like, debate the nuances of bills or whatever,
Right.
but, like, I am afraid that one of my family members is going to be kidnapped and sent out of country to a concentration camp, and that is very fucking real in my life right now.
Mhm.
And the idea that this, like, kind of spiritual space is one where something like that would be unacceptable because it's political is grotesque to me.
Mhm.
So I'm having to, like, bring it up, and we'll see how it goes. Because if it's not received favorably, then I probably just won't be going anymore.
Right.
But I'm hoping that it gives us a space to kinda talk about it. So, to go back to the whole, like, who is doing this? This is, like, a very real thing
Mhm.
in a lot of these spaces, and there's some documented kind of pipelines that you can follow of, like, wellness groups, of fitness trends, of, nutritionists, stuff like that, that is just all pointing towards these right-wing talking points, towards, like, alt-right even.
Mhm.
So, I wanted to point at that because of the way that it had come up. So that was a nice little rant going all over the place for that.
Yeah, and just to throw my 2 cents in, which wasn't asked for, but I'm a streamer. Um,
You
yeah.
got a picture up on the screen. You have
the
the power.
when I look, right, like when I look at that, that story, right? That this person, the one person was so upset by the thing that the other two people were talking about that it made them cry, and therefore we should not be talking about that. That is a thing, right? And that person,
Mhm.
I don't want that person to feel bad. But here
Mhm.
is you, and you have to feel bad, right? Like you are excluded from this because you can't compartmentalize, someone that you love and that you care about being deported as, well, that's political. No, that's
Mhm.
like you said, everything is political. The very
The fact
act
that we're
of
even able to have that group is political, because
Mhm.
like, if this current administration were able to continue on the path that they would like to, we're not gonna be having some spiritual group where we chant, Hindu kirtan, or we discuss Buddhism and stuff, and, do whatever kind of action, like social action in the world. That's not gonna be something that just is, like, okay anymore.
Yeah, and like Ponder Monkey says in chat there, I wouldn't necessarily go far, like it's a gradient, right? Like it's a spectrum.
Mhm.
There are people who, oh, I'm not political, right? I don't want to talk politics, and all people should, who are not Americans should be deported immediately. Like they don't think that's political, that like that
Yep.
kind of thinking. And I'm not, but there are people who who don't understand, right? They don't understand. They're what you would call, that's a good person, right? They want good things. They contribute to what they think are good things. Again, talking about that, were they born that way? No, they went
Mhm.
through a process. This person, they want good things for people, and they just don't have the education and haven't been given the scaffolding in order to understand how there's things that they believe in that lead to certain outcomes. And because of those outcomes is why there's a problem, right? Like you and this is goes back to the idea of propaganda, and especially like
Mhm.
my concern about propaganda when it comes to like people of a leftist kind of political ideology, and how like I'm sorry, y'all are bad at it. Um the they like you can't smack somebody across the face with Das Kapital and expect them to jump on board, right? The
Mhm.
whole idea is you have to meet them where they are, right? And then don't like say, well, exploitation of the masses. And if you use the term, if bourgeoisie comes out of your fucking mouth when you're talking to people, you're fucking up, right? Like you need to
Uh-huh.
talk to them in a way that makes them reframe what it is they're experiencing to be like different, right? And more inclusive,
Yeah.
and like how like you don't necessarily want to tell them anything. You
Yeah.
want to question things, right? Like ask some questions, have them think about it. And once they start thinking
Mhm.
about it and they start answering questions, now when you're not there, they're still asking themselves those questions. And that's how you get people, right?
I'm so on board with that. And that, like, we've been oh, I don't think I have it in here. Like, we've been going through nonviolent communication in my community as, like, our book club book, and it's kind of, like, really gotten me, this time around. This is, like, my 3rd time reading the book, and it's
Mhm.
just, like, this is my first time reading the book, with a different understanding of what learning requires. And
This book.
so
Oh, I've got a little
go
thing
ahead.
here. This is the book that I've read the most, and I can actually do this. And shout out the people at the BurmaLibrary.org
Ooh,
because they have a PDF copy, and I think everyone should read that book.
yes.
Excuse me. It gives you a complete framework for understanding the way that power works. And it's not just, it says the dictator's handbook. And so you view it from like that angle, but it's about how power works, right? And
Mhm.
the idea of constituencies and like, the groups that you're responsible to, and how like a king is not the person in power. A king is merely a portion of, this power structure and all that other stuff. It's a great book. If you can get it on audio book, it's great. If you can read it on PDF, it's great. I highly recommend it. I think more people need to read it so that they understand and they have a better idea of the way that this entire thing works. And like, yes, you can understand like the current administration and the way that it's working, but you can also understand like why Biden was the way he was, and why Keir Starmer is the way he is, and the way all these different people are, because you get a greater context for just the nature of that power. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. You've given me a lot of fun stuff to, like, play with
That's what I
and,
do, baby.
learn from and watch and stuff. My partner was in the other room when I went to get more water, and I was like, "We're watching a video tonight, dude." Like, I'm excited to see that one because he is very, very into AI,
Hmm.
and so or, like, technology in general. That's been, like, a common thing for him throughout our
Oh well,
relationship
bring
is
him on.
he
I'll talk to
just
him instead.
fucking loves it. Yeah, let me just get the fuck out of here, actually. You probably would prefer to talk to a man
To a
anyway,
man,
wouldn't you?
absolutely. The person in charge here.
Yeah, we were talking about power dynamics, and you're over here talking to me, living under patriarchy, wasting your time. Anyway, I told him we are watching that video, and I'm excited, but you brought up some, like, really, I think, crucial things that were reminding me, like, so we're reading Nonviolent Communication. I'm
Mhm,
now, like, working on pursuing certification in it because I love the frameworks that they offer for understanding others and for communication, and one of the things that they reference often is that they are looking to be in power with people, not have power over anyone.
mhm.
And the way that it's helped me to adjust my language again in such a short time has been so super fucking nice. But you were mentioning, like, not losing people with these different, like, buzzwords and stuff, and, if I'm remembering correctly, the average person, I think, in the US is at, like, a 7th grade. Is that what it was? Like, a 7th grade reading level? Are you
Something
familiar
like
with
that.
that?
Yeah.
Somewhere in that range? So, like, that aspect of it is something that I think others miss also, is the ones who are so deep in politics and in understandings and have read all of the books and, know all of the theory,
Mhm.
they're missing that people don't know what the fuck they're saying.
Right. Yeah, you become disconnected, right? Like,
Mhm.
and that's a huge thing. And why, like in my community, again, the only requirement to come in my community, our community, the only requirement
No, it
really
belongs to you, white
it's
man. It is yours.
the only requirement to come in is good faith, right? I don't care what
Yeah,
your politics
agreed.
are. I don't, with the glaring exceptions, obviously. But I don't care what your politics are. I don't care if you like AI, if you don't like AI, where you are, what you know, any of that. That's not what we're about. It's an educational space, and generally speaking, all are welcome for that reason. I don't want to be
Mhm.
exclusionary. And I can talk about things like there are people who know way more about AI than I do. Like you can talk, Stephen Wolfram, who's like a mathematician and like super brilliant. He does streams and he's like, he knows way more about AI than I do, but he is not going to communicate in the same way that I will, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I look at my space within the space, right? Like I'm the guy who will talk about, LLMs and neural networks and, gradient descent and at the same time, make a fucking off color joke and, fuck this and ha 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 and all that kind of shit, right?
Mhm.
And it's the balancing of those things, that idea of edutainment, right? Not in a,
Yeah.
the weird way, but like in an edutainment sense.
Not in
Brain
like a PragerU sense.
exactly. um, memory is associative, right? Like, and
Mhm.
you need to learning stuff in a vacuum is very hard to retain. But if you
Mhm.
can, Globus told that joke and it was funny, and he also was talking about the thing and then, other thing, and you retain that for longer, and also
Yeah.
people want to come back because it's dynamic and everything else. And this is the kind of thing I try to like, you know, imbibe into my system.
I think you're doing a pretty
Imbue,
great
not
job
imbibe.
so far.
Imbibe is
Yeah,
something
I
else.
I got what you were saying. With my 7th grade reading level, I interpreted what I think is the appropriate context there. I'm picking up what you're putting down. That actually brings us back though
Huh?
to what we had like initially kind of talked about was getting into conversations around critical thinking and media literacy.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's one of the things that I am working on myself. I really want to have better frameworks and I'm hoping that with your wonderful creative brain that you can also help to like lock it into my skull
Mm-hmm.
because I want to be more skilled at not necessarily automatically, but having a framework for when I'm reviewing something in the media, when I'm reading a piece of news, when I'm seeing some data, I
Mm-hmm.
wanna know what steps I can take to try to make sure that I'm not, missing something, that I'm not inferring too much, that I'm not missing the kind of hidden agenda or whatever of whoever it is that created the graphic or the art or the piece or whatever. And I also wanna be able to offer that to others.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I was telling I think you might have been in stream when I was telling, like, some of the friends that because I'm working on communication and I really want to help people also wake up. And this isn't coming from a position of like, I know so much and I want to help you, but just recognizing that I, like everyone else, got very much caught up in so many different forms of propaganda. I'm not immune to it. Like there was an example that came up somewhat recently. I think it was related to the bill that is now the source of contention amongst the billionaires, right? And there was something, I think it was on Reddit, that was saying like something that was contained within the bill, and it was just this, like, sort of meme format, like a post saying, like, "Call all your senators. This cannot pass. It has this. Trump's gonna suspend elections," or something along those lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was in, like, a liberal left-leaning space,
Mm-hmm.
and so as I'm looking at it, I'm like, "Well, yeah, I buy that. Like, sure, given this administration, that wouldn't surprise me." But I'm looking at it and I'm like, "But I haven't read the fucking bill, like, it's fucking 1,000 pages, right?" Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm relying on other sources to try to dissect and analyze this. So when I clicked into the post and started looking, I was delighted to see that someone had commented and been like, "Hey, this is actually not even in the fucking bill, dude." And that post was everywhere. It
Yep.
was everywhere. It was all over Twitter, it was all over Reddit, and shared by other people who probably have a shared interest in not letting this administration do fuck shit, like awful, awful fuck shit.
Mm-hmm.
But what are we doing in this cause when now someone from the other side is gonna see this and be like, "You're spreading lies. That's
Mhm.
not even in it."
Right.
So, like, if I had not somewhat recently been engaging with this kind of idea of, like, "I really need to check my shit, man,"
Mhm.
I would've just been like, "Retweet, fuck this is terrible." So I'm really trying to work on that. And one of the things that I also wanna do is be able to have conversations that are kind, compassionate, and potentially productive, not debates, not where I go into it in hopes that I'm gonna, like, convince them of any specific point.
Mhm.
But I wanna be able to poke at, like, how did you come to this conclusion? Like, you saw this post or you shared this thing. What do you do to determine the validity of something given that the internet is full of so much slop these days? How do you verify information? Like, kind of be able to ask those questions. And in my mind, I would like to be able to say, like, this is some of the stuff that I do. And I have a few things that I do now, like, checking to see who wrote the thing, what the context is, what their potential motives might be,
Mhm.
like who stands to profit. There's some basics there, but I want to build that skill so that I can practice on people from my Facebook,
Mhm.
because I recently reactivated my Facebook for that group I was mentioning,
Right.
and oh my god, the mess that I see on there of people from, like, back where I was from,
Mhm.
which is, like, the northwest suburbs of Chicago.
Okay.
So, like, I think that I have enough kind of plausible deniability with that crew because I haven't been, like, on Facebook, I'm not on there, like, talking shit to anyone, that if I start DMing some of these random people who post this, like, absolute nonsense
Mhm.
and inquiring into it, that I might not, like, raise their defenses right away.
Right.
So I want to build that skill. I wanna have those frameworks, and that's one of the things that I was most curious about with you, because Read and Rap had kind of mentioned that you have, like, a really good kind of, maybe it was like a systematic way of approaching these things.
Mhm.
So I'm curious what you can offer both for me and then obviously for the people in the community who are listening, watching, doing whatever while we're hanging.
Mhm.
Like, what are some of the things that you do to try to verify information or to make sure that you are thinking critically about it? What does
Right.
that process look like for you?
So one of the things that it starts off with a healthy skepticism, right? Like I am I am especially um aware of when something agrees with me, right? Like
Mm.
because that's a anecdote. Um little while back there was the SAG after strike, and during the SAG after strike there was a story came out where allegedly two dudes in suits who worked for um the movie production companies said, we'll just wait until your rent is due, and then something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, right? But
Mhm.
it was
I'm
such
gonna turn on my fan, but I'm still
yeah
listening.
it was such cartoon villain kind of shit, um that like it really didn't make sense to me that someone would have said that out loud within earshot of their opposition over this matter, right? And
Mhm.
I'm like pro union. My father was a union man with the post office, and like that. My grandfather was union with the railroad. So like it's in me that I want honesty. I want to be able to tell the truth and still win.
Mhm.
And the only all roads on that story led back to this Deadline article where it was just said in that article, right? There was no
Mm.
like alternate verification or anything else. And Adam Conover was the one who really pushed that story outside of the Deadline article. And to me, like it just felt off, right? It didn't make sense. And all roads led back to that Deadline article. Nobody else, and nobody else ran with the story and everything else. And at that point in time, it was like I got into it with other left-leaning people who just ran with that story, and some of them actively did not care if it wasn't true, right?
That's
Because
concerning to me.
because the opposition lies all the time, so we should get to lie too. And that's like,
Yeah.
no, like, no, I'm not down
What
with
does
that.
that serve? Because the idea is like even like the language of like a win, right?
Hmm.
Like that is where I think a lot of people are coming from with that mindset
Right,
of like, well, as long as the lie gets people to pay attention, then great. And like, okay, you just basically are saying the same thing as JD Vance now. So that's neat.
right,
That's a fun person to align yourself with. Great job.
yeah. And so within that context, and another one is the what we talked about earlier with the energy usage, right? Like that of
Mhm.
AI. That particular framework, no one who says that wants to actually do the research. It confirms their biases. They're happy
Mhm.
to run with it. So, that's what they do. So, I always look, especially if something agrees with me outright, I am like super like, we're going to make sure that this is true because I don't
Yeah.
want to be right. I don't care if I'm right. I want to be correct, right? I want the data and the facts and everything else to support what it is that I believe in. That way I can transfer it. I can build a
Yeah.
scaffolding that serves me in all spaces. So
Yeah, and
that's
that's
go
kind
ahead.
of what I was expressing with that post that I had seen,
Mhm.
like, circulating the internet, is the first impulse was like, "I buy it,"
Right.
and then a desire to share, and then I was like, "Hold up, though.
Right.
Hold up."
Let me just make
And
sure.
that's where we're at now with, like, your kind of example of this is, like, did not pass the vibe check, not necessarily because it was antithetical to my views, but because I caught myself agreeing with it and then thinking I should verify.
Right. And so that's part of it, like, is a quick Google of the whatever, right? You whatever the thing is, when you Google it, what does it lead to? Are you getting reliable sources from a variety of different spaces telling varied versions of this story? Then it's
Mhm.
probably true, right? You can go
Yeah.
with that and not really, depending on like how like impactful the thing is. Like you're not going to declare civil war over this minor thing. It's like, okay, we're good, we can move on. um but then if all the stories are the same, this is a huge thing in right-wing media, right? Like where you will see some story that it tugs on your emotional strings, and when you Google that story, it's literally the same story in like 15 different
Yeah.
places. That indicates it's probably actually not true. It's just copy
Yeah.
paste bullshit.
Yeah.
So then it's a matter of like, what I do in the morning, right? The morning show is where we look at articles, right? Who is reporting? What is the outlet? And this is something that you have to learn over time, right? The
Mhm.
name of the person who's doing the article, the name of the organization that is putting out the article, that kind of thing. Um, where did they come? And then you start to read the article. And when you read the article, what kind of language are they using? Are they using like relatively neutral language describing the situation? Or are there
Mhm.
some hyperbolic words being thrown in? Are they talking about, like, for instance, talking about AI? Are they talking about how, like, the output of a prompt is going to do this and that? Or are they using words like regurgitate, slop?
Mm.
Are they using
Mhm.
those words that have a different kind of impact? In that
Yeah.
case, they're selling something. And again, it could be something that agrees with you, right? But they're still doing
Yeah.
the emotional language as opposed to the more factual language. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is something we had actually started practicing with in my channel, when was it? I don't think it was this last election cycle, but we were starting to do that, and it was before I knew that ground news existed and was
Mhm.
able to kinda, like, play around with that a little bit, but I had started saying, like, "Okay, we're gonna use the," what was it? It was just, like, a simple graphic of, like, the media bias checker,
Mhm.
kind of like that, like, there was just, like, these are the ones that they would consider right, these are the ones they would say are center, these are the ones they would say are left-leaning.
Mhm.
So we would take a topic going on and then pull up the news articles between each of these different, like, we'd pick 3 or 4 and then review them on stream and start to see the difference in how the same thing was framed from these different standpoints.
Mhm.
And I found that to be super valuable, and I actually really wanna get, like, the premium or whatever version of, like, Ground News because I love that they have a lot of that stuff built in.
Mhm.
But, like, you're describing something that I had started doing, and I think learning more about language also has helped me to start noticing a bit more of stuff like that, and I
Yeah.
imagine that the Dictator's Handbook with all the references to power is likely gonna, help to kind of clarify some of that as
Mhm.
well. And yes, bipolar bear, we're discussing critical thinking, that's why it's coming up. We're talking about different methods for it, different
Right.
ways.
And that's the thing, like critical. So it's critical thing. The four pillars. Like I'm gonna get grandiose. Critical thinking, creative thinking, healthy skepticism, and media literacy. Right. These are not actually like clearly defined areas. They're more like a four circle Venn diagram, and they all do blend into each other, and they should, right? Because it should be like more natural, like an ebb and flow between these things. Your
Mhm.
healthy skepticism engages your critical thinking, engages your media literacy as you're looking at that. And then your creative thinking is like how you can express it and how you can interact with it, how you can use a particular piece of media that is, and I do this all the time, is I'll take a piece of media that is like obviously because they open up with the AI slop is regurgitated all over your timeline, and then I'll take
Mhm.
that and I'll just use it as a tool, right? There are a lot of people who, they're only engaging with a particular kind of media, right? They're
Yeah.
like, I'm only watching Democracy Now or positive leftist news or these kind of things. And it's fine, right? Like I'm not, you watch whatever you want to watch, but there's a whole bunch of media over here that everyone else is interacting with, and you
Yeah.
don't know any of that. And it's like what you were talking about earlier with that separation that people get when they get so deep in the theory that they can't communicate any of that theory to the normies. And if you can't talk
Yeah.
to the normies, then you're just building this enclave of just a certain kind of thinking people, and then you don't always, but you can end up in purity testing and are you this
Yeah.
particular kind of ist? And it's like, dude. So by engaging with these other kinds of media, you can see how you can read this article from Fox News and you can understand, okay, is this actually a news piece just providing me with information, or is this a piece of like right-wing propaganda that's kind of trying to get me to
Mhm.
believe in things in of a certain kind of way? And you can tell just by looking at it, and you can still engage with it without like believing it. You can hold
Yeah.
space for it without believing it.
Okay, so one of the things that actually stopped me for a while, because my partner and I would have some sort of like disagreements on this because he is like very open-minded and I like really value that. Like
Mhm.
he is one of the like biggest catalysts for a lot of like changes that happened in my life. And he would come home and tell me like I was watching this Ben Shapiro video and like my body is just like, "Ugh." And he's like, "I'm just really curious, like, what they think about these things, like, how they think about it. I wanna know some of these things." And I'm like, "Oh, I just like, first of all, it like, we've watched some of those more recent, like, Jubilee videos. I don't know if you've seen any of those
I,
absolute
I'm
atrocities, you know?
aware.
Ugh. But, like, the whole time I'm watching, I am just fucking grumpy dumpy. Like, I can't unfurrow my brow because 'cause I'm just so disgusted by, like, so many of the things they're saying.
Mhm.
And I also see the value in understanding the standpoints. There is, there's a phrase, I think it was Daniel Kahneman, It might have been from Thinking Fast and Slow. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
He's I'm almost positive it was him where he had said, familiarity is not easily distinguished from truth.
Mhm.
So initially, one of the things that I think was limiting my critical thinking was this almost fear of like, if I engage with it too much, it might start to inform some of my beliefs in the background that I'm not even aware of.
Mhm.
You know, I might start to buy into this stuff because I see it often enough that my brain is just like, this is a thing, this is true. And having had so much time, observing my mind through meditation and through these different mindfulness practices and stuff, like and then going into, learning about what actually happens when you are learning something and seeing what an actually, like, resource intensive task that is to genuinely learn something.
Mhm.
I went through this, like, crisis of, like, "Oh my god, I don't know fucking anything. I don't know how many things I have heard or read that I just took at kind of face value and kept running with."
Mhm.
And because familiarity is not easily distinguished from truth, like, how many things am I caught up in? And so I got really nervous about the idea of watching those things out of fear that there might be some potential for it to impact me, in a way that is not gonna be right away there. That's not always gonna be, like, super visible, that might come out in some bias that I might not be able to check in time before it causes harm.
Mhm.
So it was like a concern. I'm working with it. Now it's more working with, like, the disgust, but that is still sort of like a concern of mine is, like, the potential to buy into it too much if I, interact with it too much.
Yeah. I like
Concern, I know.
I'm not I find a lot of that stuff is um like there's a lot of interactions, especially like most, if not all, of the people that I watch on Twitch are of some sort of left wing bent, right? Like
Mhm.
that's absolutely the case, and a percentage of those people interact with varying levels of that type of media, and there's some of it where it's like like recently everyone's favorite big strong streamer and his former friend they got into their beef, and that's
I love
meaningless.
everyone's favorite streamer. You're talking about me? I haven't gotten into any kind of beef with anyone because that looked exactly like me, dude. Like, that
Exactly
was me
like you.
to a
I
T.
understand the confusion. um
Mhm.
but
Please be more clear.
there's no value in that to me, right? Like especially after like the third round of it is like this has actually nothing to do with any of the stated reasons they're having this beef, and a lot to do with some trauma that exists not only between these two but like in their other and this particular issue is rubbing up against this particular expressed set of
Mhm.
values, and it's all that. And none of this is going to be resolved by having a drama beef on stream. The only way you can do it
Yeah.
is get these two some couples counseling and get them to work through their problems.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. But there's other stuff that like, you will watch it and it'll be like, your Tim Pools, your Jordan Petersons, your Ben Shapiro's, and etc. And when I am interacting with that kind of media through the streamer mediator, I like put on my Jane Goodall hat, right? Like I am not necessarily interacting with the words that they're saying, which are intended to do emotional triggers. I look at
Yeah.
it again. I play a lot of fucking board games, and board games are all about strategy, right? Like, so I am looking at it through that kind of lens. Okay, you're
Mm.
doing like you said earlier with the bingo card for the Chuds, right? Like it's
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Oh, you're doing the Capelli defense, right? Like you are,
Mhm.
it's capoeira. I am not left-handed. And it's that kind of shit. And that's the way that I observe them. Is like I understand this is like in the game of propaganda, what moves are you making here? And then I
Mhm.
watch for those kind of moves. So I have like an emotional distance And because I'm in that observer space and that scientific observer space, that emotional distance prevents it from getting in my head, prevents it from doing the emotional trigger, and prevents it like
Mm.
from doing that kind of thing where it'll like plant some weird seed that I might have to deal with later. I'm observing them
Mhm.
like they're in a goddamn petri dish
That
and
is a
like
really
that.
valid, like, really useful way to look at it, and that actually, like, especially given, like, the mindfulness perspective for me, that actually, like, helps so much to alleviate that fear because, like, you're right, and that is typically the frame that I'm using when I'm looking at it is, like, that curiosity of, like, "Alright, and how did you get there?" And
Mhm.
the understanding even the way that they're bringing it up to each other, and, like, one of the things that I actually enjoyed recently, there was one of those Jubilee videos, which I really try not to watch because I think the premise is just absurd,
Mhm.
but I was very curious about one of the more recent ones they had where it was, a queer person versus a bunch of, like, conservatives, basically.
Mhm.
And this person was incredible,
Mhm.
incredible at not allowing people to, like, put him in a group of, like, they would say, like, "Well, you guys believe," and he'd be like, "Wait, hold on, who? Let's clarify
Mhm.
what you're talking about." Like, he did a great job with kind of the frame control and making sure that they weren't, like, sneaking in those little things. Like, he
Right.
really was so awesome, and it was really, really interesting to watch. So, I was very, like, very inspired by the skills that he demonstrated in that conversation, in those if you could call them that. So, like, that ties in with what you were sharing, and I would love it if you actually had a Jane Goodall hat. That'd be so interesting if you just, like, plopped it on before you did some of that analysis on stream, put on some, like, safari gear. It'd be real fun.
The
But that genuinely offered me, like, a lotta peace of mind just kinda putting it in that way.
Yeah, in because it's important to understand that people are people, and this is something that recently came up. There was an article by and it was so okay, again, media literacy. Am I looking at an article or am I looking at an opinion piece, right?
Mm,
Because an opinion piece is different than an article. An article should be factual. A opinion piece can be whatever the hell you want. And so
yeah.
this person had done this opinion piece about AI in art, right? Like everyone's favorite trigger is AI in art. And what we noticed collectively, right, like in the process of going through this article, is that the way that they were talking about stuff in that article, in that opinion piece, was that meandering talk that Jordan Peterson does, right? Like where
Mm,
it's not
mhm.
actually making any kind of like factual points or drawing it to anything. It's completely leaning into emotional triggers and everything else. And the dragon of chaos and clean your room and all of that kind
Mm,
of behavior. And it's important to understand that because it's politically agnostic, right? Just because Jordan Peterson and certain other people, Donald Trump does a similar thing, other people do a similar thing, just because they are of a right wing political kind of view does not mean that that behavior is right wing political. That
yeah.
behavior is a behavior that can be done. I mean, this is a person that people on the left would obviously agree with because how they were talking about the interaction of AI and art, and that it's that it needs to be kept separate and talking about these things, but not giving you any actual substance to what they're talking about, just trying to make you feel a kind of way by talking.
Yeah. That just as a super quick aside,
Mm,
I watched another one of those Jubilee videos that was a Jordan Peterson one that was initially framed as one Christian versus 25 atheists.
mm,
And then because Jordan Peterson is Jordan Peterson, by the end of it, they were like, let's just rename it to Jordan Peterson versus 25 atheists. So they changed the video title.
mm,
But one of the people who he had been debating was like, I think one of the hardest things about talking to you is that you just like I'll ask you a question or you'll make a point and then you retreat into this semantic fog. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, that's such a great way to put that. That's such a great way to put that.
Yeah.
But you brought up another thing that has been useful for me, especially given again the way that it like aligns so well with some of the work that I'm doing in like mindfulness and like feeling my body and feeling my feelings more, is noticing when something I'm consuming or interacting with activates me in some way, whether
Mhm.
it's with delight or glee. Like today, seeing the Elon Trump stuff going on, like I was tired as shit today,
Right.
man. I was dragging earlier, and then I started seeing the girls were fighting, and oh boy, my body woke up. Suddenly, I had energy for days. I was like, "Where? Someone needs to be around for me to talk to about this. I am fucking amped."
Yep. When the
And
bad
I was
guys are
like, "This
taking
is
an L, I'm gonna drink this in.
literally," and, like, part of what I could connect to as I felt the, like, excitement in my body is, like, this isn't just, like, "I'm excited that they're fighting, let me get the popcorn," like, I can take a fucking break, I don't need to be so all up in this, but it's that I felt hopeful that this is going to, actually kill the bill that they're trying to pass.
Mhm.
So I'm like, "Cool, let's connect to that instead of just being locked in,"
Right.
because I'm very much aware of the power of these platforms and their intent to keep me locked in.
Mhm.
Because if I'm scrolling, I'm not active. I'm not doing something about anything. I'm
Right.
just, keyboard activist type shit.
Yeah. And that's absolutely like I am. I don't know when it happened, but I put a little observer in my brain that because I'm not like some superior intellectual, like I am above all the things. I end up scrolling on whatever platform or whatever, but like there's a little person who shows up after like a few minutes of that kind of thing, and it's like, so what are you working on, right? Like, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, all right, that was
Mhm.
fun. Now time to go do something. And but like you said, it's important. I tend to view a lot of things from the concept of strategy, right? Or the concept of propaganda, which again, Venn diagram overlap, that kind of thing. Something is happening right now where what was a at least seemingly unified force is is not only broken apart but is actively attacking each other. So
Mhm.
how does this benefit us, and what can we do to to help that keep going? So while it's this idea that they were running about flooding the zone, how do we get them
Yeah.
to flood each other's zones while
Yeah.
we go around the outside and score
I
the
bet they'd
touchdown?
like to flood each other's zones, you know what I mean?
And like you said, is like because of the fact that one party in this conflict is against the bill, and I find the bill to be an abomination,
Mhm.
like there is a benefit there because
Yeah,
they are going to probably kill the bill at this point. Like,
yeah,
because the Senate is absolutely not going to accept the bill as it's currently written. Everyone understood this. They were going to take the bill, they were going to make some changes, and then they have to send it back to the House. This is why it's important to understand the way the systems work and like that. So once they send it back to the House, the senators are fairly insulated. Once you become a senator, you're probably going to keep that seat until you decide you don't want it anymore. It's a very exclusive club. Representatives, they get it, like they have elections much more often. And
mhm.
because of that, they are much more vulnerable to their hometown constituency. And it wasn't a bunch of fucking capital waving leftists who were at these people's town hall, cursing them out. It was a bunch of Republicans who were like,
Yeah,
what the hell is going on? And it's, well, we're all going to die. And it was like,
yeah, I
are
still
you
can't believe that
serious?
she doubled down on that
I thought it was
too.
great. I thought it was great. It was
Unbelievable.
incredibly honest. She
Yeah,
said exactly what she was thinking and like that, and that's perfect. Now, it's not what you end up seeing is a lot of people in the liberal and leftist spaces are just going to use that as a dunk. No, you need to use that as a wedge, right?
Yeah.
Look,
Use that to go and talk to the people from that area instead of what a lot of fucking Dems were doing or what a couple of them like Schumer and Jeffries were doing in response to Elon, his initial tweet about the bill.
mhm,
They're just out there like, I have something to say. I agree with Elon Musk.
right.
Neat? Now what?
Yeah.
Now what? That's it? That's what you're bringing? That's the heat you're bringing, Dems? Oh my fuck. And then today, like, I was seeing it already of, like, I think someone had posted "Welcome to the resistance." Like, no,
Right.
you're missing so
So
much.
much.
Elon is not doing this
No.
out of some noble pursuit. This is like, oh my god, I'm sick now. Shut up, shut up.
The enemy of my enemy is still my enemy, right? Like they're not
Yes.
my friend. They can be
Ugh.
useful. They can provide utility, but they are not my friend.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
actually
so great job, Elon, and also, like, terrible job, Elon.
I'm from New York. So I Erie County Fair, right, which is our county fair that comes every year. I'm there with my son, fuck all, well over a decade ago, and Chuck Schumer is walking through doing like the meet and greet, like doing the
Mhm.
the the shaking of the hands, and he has two of his aides walking next to him holding up signs, right? Like, and that's when I knew that Chuck Schumer doesn't give a rat's ass about anyone. He wants that attention, and
Yeah.
and like that. So yeah, no, I would like Chuck to, he had a good run. Go retire. Go fishing with Joe Biden or something. Go do something else.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. I'm like, how much time do we have? Do we start just talking shit about Democrats right now? Is that where we need to go? That might be where some good valuable time would be spent.
I
But like maybe not because it's so depressing to see this like they go low, we go high, or like we're gonna be petty, we're gonna be snarky, we're gonna hold up signs, we're gonna talk shit on Twitter,
mhm.
and then like what else?
Yeah, I don't actually like, again, I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't really engage with a whole lot of memeing, for an extended period of time. I touch the meme, I enjoy the meme, and then I move on from the meme. I want to talk about, like, things that are productive, and dunking
Yeah.
on anyone for an extended period of time doesn't do anything, right? Like, those guys are shit, yes, now what, right? Like, those guys
Yep.
are also shit, yes, now what?
Yep.
So, and that to me is what provides the value. What can we do, what can we talk about, and it doesn't necessarily, like, I'm not the leader of the revolution or anything, but I might be able
Dang,
to
someone
talk.
misinformed me. I'm gonna send a strongly worded email today. I'm pissed now.
Like, for me, like, the best thing, it would be like you and I having a conversation about something, and like someone in the chat gets an idea sparked in their head, and they're like, hey, maybe we should do this, and then they go and they learn
Mhm.
some stuff, and they get some people, and they do a thing, right? Like, because
Yep.
that's where we act as avatars, right? Like, for the entire thing, we talk about
Yeah.
ideas, we present ideas, we get them out there, and we move them back and forth, and we can give people a vehicle by which they can, like, give themselves permission to do stuff, like, to
Mhm.
your chat, you are not weak, you are not dumb, you are not whatever, right? Like, you are a human being with the same inherent, power and value as any other human, and you are capable of great things, and you're capable
Mhm.
of great things when you act with other people, and so on and so forth. And, like, big up your chat, right? Like, give them something
Mhm.
to do.
Mhm. Although I think, George Lakoff would have some words to say about the initial framing of the message. Like, I'm very much on board with that, absolutely. Everyone, in here, you're all brilliant, capable,
Mhm.
you can do it. That's actually it's part of the reason why, like, starting to teach meditation and mindfulness was so important to me
Mhm.
because that was something that really helped me to start, like, seeing through things more because I got to see through myself a lot more. So I really value, like, the training program I got to do for meditation teaching because they had, like, a whole like, it was a 2-year program, and around 9 months of it was dedicated to DEIA, to
Mhm.
making sure that we were examining these practices
You put the
within
A
the
on the
context
end.
of yes, within the context of different power structures, within the context of people's needs, whether this is accessible or not, whether this is inclusive or not, having us split off into affinity groups so that we could engage with the content with other people to make sure that we are, checking our own privilege, checking our own biases. And I found that to be so valuable because a lot of the programs I had looked at were very much whitewashed.
Mhm.
Like it was all just about like you and your unique and special self and just this is just for you to achieve peace. And I think that we deserve more, and I think it starts with us learning how to actually, like, be with ourselves. It starts with us learning how to, like, sit in silence, like we were talking about earlier,
Mhm.
and be okay with whatever comes up without it stopping, you know? So, like, white guilt, as an example,
Mhm.
is something that I kind of am anticipating I might run into when I have this conversation over the weekend,
Mhm.
and that can be such an extreme stopping point. And in the context of mindfulness, it's just another universal mind body experience of guilt.
Mhm.
All right, guilt is here. Cool. What does it feel like for you? What kind of thoughts show up when you're experiencing guilt? What do those thoughts show up as? Are you a visual thinker? Does your mind tend to show you images? Is it auditory? Is it both? Is it some other kind of abstract thing I can't even begin to fathom because my brain is very visual? Like
Mhm.
that's stuff that I find to be so powerful, and I'm excited to be able to introduce that to more people because
Mhm.
it like, geez, it's so life-changing for me to suddenly not be so self-identified, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and it's very helpful because one of the aspects of operating again within like that, leftist space and everything else is the idea that you are not going to be the center of every one of these conversations, right? A
Mhm.
majority of the time you are not going to be centered in that conversation. So how can you be involved in that conversation in a way that is positive both for you and for the people that you're interacting with? And a lot of times it's like I'm going to sit back and I'm going to, learn some stuff, and generally speaking, if you come to people with like again good faith questions about a
Mhm.
particular subject, and maybe again not in chat in front of everybody, but if you like, hey, you said thing, and like I thought thing, and like I'm just trying to understand that, can you help me out?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, the people are like, yeah, no, it's like this, maybe read this book, or here's a little thing, or here's a video, whatever interacts best with you,
Yeah.
kind of thing. I want to the DEIA thing, as an example of successful right-wing propaganda that the liberals and the left have fallen into, um on two levels, right? Like
Mhm.
one, they took the A off, right? So
Yep.
it's DEI,
That
right?
frustrates me every time I see that as well.
So that's one thing, because you're taking that letter off, which is like, again, they're trying to divide these concepts. The other thing is converting it into letters, right? Because it's very easy. Oh yeah, I'm against DEI, right? Like DEI. So you're against diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, right?
Mhm.
Oh wait,
Yeah, it is
no, I'm not.
annoying that instead of, like, actually breaking that down, that it's just been, like, such a like, continuing to operate from their framing.
Mhm.
Like we were kinda talking about earlier with that other person, like, it's continuing to speak in their terms, which is not helping anyone because now there's a bunch of people from my hometown who think that DEI means affirmative action,
Mhm.
and that affirmative action means that if there's a black person and a white person applying for the same job and they are at equal footing, they have the same qualifications, that the black person gets it just because.
Right.
or even worse, they think that it's, there's a white person who is clearly the one who should get the job, and then there's this black person who does not have the same skills
Mhm.
and is going to get the job because.
Right.
And so, at a fundamental level, the idea of unfairness in there is really easy for someone to get behind and be like, "Yeah, I don't want that. I don't want someone who's less qualified to get the job just because of their race. That's not fair. That's lame."
Mhm.
And then we're lost.
Yeah. And that's why, like,
Oh.
I'm
I
always
lost a granola bar.
oh, no.
Thanks, baby.
I never acquiesce to anyone's presuppositions. I never acquiesce to, like, anyone's particular framing. If someone tries to bulldoze me or gish gallop me over something like that, it's like, no, we're not going to do that, right? And again,
Mhm.
it's like, if we're not gonna do this is why I never go on like debate panels or debate
Yeah,
conversations. I'm just not doing it because we're not gonna have the same
agreed.
conversation. It's
No,
a waste of time, and I could do more stuff. And you're looking for dunks that you can do clips out of, right?
the only type of debate I think I would ever consider doing is the one where the person has to accurately repeat your argument for you
Mm-hmm.
to your approval before you move forward.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like, I don't see the value in them for the most part, because as soon as someone comes to the table is like, "Let's have a debate about this." Like, that person is lost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am lost in this situation. We are both going nowhere. The
Mm-hmm.
audiences may derive some value or benefit from the conversations and from how they go, but I wanna talk to that person. I wanna connect. I don't want it to just be a, like, my job here is to make you look fucking dumb and debunk all the dumb shit you say, and your job is to make me look dumb and debunk all the dumb shit I say. And now, like, where the fuck are we? What was the point of this?
Right. No, like, again, 24 hours in a day, 365 days a year. I have other stuff I could be doing, right?
Mhm.
I would rather be playing a video game I don't like than have a debate with you, sir.
I
Like,
could
it's
stare
that
out
kind
a
of thing,
window and watch a lizard do that weird push-up thing they do. I don't know why they do it, but I love to see it.
right? So yeah, it's and it's important that from from a propaganda standpoint, like, if you're again, like that I referenced earlier, that well-meaning liberal, right, who's
Mhm.
using that DEI framing, you can say to them, like, you mean diversity, equity, inclusion, and
Mhm. And
accessibility,
accessibility, yeah.
and reframe it in their mind. And what do you mean? It's like, well, that's the whole thing, right? Like, and if we're going to talk about it, I'm more than happy to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it by what it is. We're not going to talk about it
Mhm.
as this amorphous blob of thing that you
Like
don't like.
CRT.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
CRT. Oh, you mean critical race theory, right? Like
Mhm.
that,
And what
because
is your
that's
understanding
different.
of that? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, exactly. And that, like, your approach with that, the asking of question, you know what I mean? That asking of questions has a tremendous amount of value, right?
Mhm.
I don't know what it's called. People tell me what it
Is
is.
that a baby?
It is. This is Stampy.
Show me the baby. Mm. Oh my god. Hello, cat. You're a cat. I love you.
Stampy is a chunky boy. He is the chunkiest of boys. He's a good boy. Yes, he is. And he
No.
weighs 1,000 pounds. He's so big, and I love him.
Wow, the way that I would smooch the heck out of that cat. Aw, my little kitty. Oh no, she left. She was hanging out under my desk for a while, but she's probably watching cat TV right now.
Yeah, and if you for the new people, if you watch my channel, Stampy has his own Stampy cam. He has his own little
Mm,
computer chair over here. He's got his own
I think I did actually see that once.
yeah, and and he hangs out, right? So, and sometimes he doesn't, but often he does. Especially, he's got his little cat blanket, and so you get to see the chunky boy.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for showing me your puss. I really value that, especially a chonky puss we love.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Second, how do you feel about me taking an edible to further this discussion? Or Are you trying to end it anytime soon?
Um,
Because I just realized how long we've been talking, and I was like, dang, I'm having so much fun. Yeah.
yes, that's one of my other favorite things. I like to toot my own horn. Toot toot. A skill I feel that I have is that like I can engage someone in a there you go in a conversation and the time will fly and everyone will have had a good time, right? And I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do have some things that I have to do, but I would not be opposed to setting up another conversation at a future date if you want.
Mm-hmm. Chat, is that a yes? Should we do this again? Can I ask you one more thought
Absolutely.
before we then wrap this up? Because so far, like, I really value a lot of your perspective on things. I don't know how I feel about the one little aspect of your utopian visual. Like, I'm gonna sit with that though,
Sure.
because I genuinely the initial reaction that you I think were kind of pontificating. Definitely, there was like a "Urgh"
Mm-hmm.
that came up, and I work with those feelings when they show up. So, like, I definitely had that. So I'm gonna sit with it and see what comes up for me there.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that came up in my brain multiple times as we were talking is the dead internet theory.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, especially as it relates to your use of AI.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have concerns that at some point, because like we do know the potential for hallucination, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that I think concerns me is the possibility of it kind of becoming so circular where like AI is being fed off the internet is filled with these like slop AI articles
Mm-hmm.
and
Model
like for
collapse.
me like yeah, exactly. And like slop there's some stuff that AI puts out that I would not describe as slop. And then there's some stuff that it puts out like I was giving someone an example of like celebrity
Quick,
gossip sites.
real quick, point of order.
Go.
It does not put anything out. The AI has never
Mm, Not
put
a person,
anything
yeah.
exactly, right?
Mhm.
Reframing, presuppositions,
Mhm.
always take it back. What is the
Mhm.
truth? Because that serves the right wing because the insurance company wants you to blame the AI for what the insurance company did, not blame the insurance company. It's
I
important. It's
appreciate that
hugely
distinction.
important.
Especially because even in my own mind, I had conflated the 2 because like, the put out initially was related to the output of the actual AI,
Hmm.
and then it just became, like, puts out as, like, the articles, right?
Hmm.
So I appreciate that, thank you. Um, One of the examples that I've offered people is, like, celebrity gossip sites and stuff, because those are some of the, like, best worst examples of AI slop that someone generated this, like, however many fucking words about some like, dumb ass shit going
Hmm.
on with some celebrity, and then they put it out, and then another site gets put out with the same thing, just ever so slightly tweaked by their AI that has made it somehow worse even, and it just kind of continues, right?
Hmm.
To where, like, you see these articles and you're like, what even are these words put together? How did you get here?
Hmm.
But, like, all of that aside, what are your thoughts? What, like, comes up for you initially when someone references something like the dead internet theory?
Okay. So the again, dead internet theory and model collapse are in that Venn diagram, right? Like that kind of thing where they are separate but there's overlap.
Mhm.
As far as the dead internet theory in and of itself, I don't have enough data to actually have an opinion on the dead internet theory. I have
Oh my
questions.
god, imagine that.
I have questions. So my question, like my primary question is like the idea is that like 50% of the internet is bots, right? Like it's some number. I'm going to use 50%. There's could
Mhm.
be other ones.
It was a
50%.
high number I saw
Sure.
too, so we'll go with
50%
it.
of the internet is bots. What are the bots doing, right? Now you've aggregated all the bots into one thing, right? Are there bots that are doing like what we would consider, broadly speaking, like good work, right? Like
Mhm.
are there bots doing stuff? I mean, good
Like,
work.
we have bots in our channels, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's examples of, like, that's a bot that's not really acting in some malicious way. It's not contributing to any kind of like nonsense on the internet. It's just so that if someone types socials, they can find out where to find you.
Exactly. And then you extend that out to the internet as a whole. And again, like a leftist is going to use good work and say that's not fucking good work, but like are there businesses that are using bots to interconnect with each other to do business stuff? Are banks
Mhm.
interconnected with other banks doing, bot business stuff, right? We might not like that kind of work, but that is falls in that category of good work, right? It's
Mhm.
not just like doing malware attacks or any of
Hold
that
on,
kind
I'll
of
give
stuff.
you one bit of good work real quick. Let's see if it works. Okay, cool. There, now we know. So that's some good work from
So
a
that's some
bot,
good
right?
work, right? So first off, that's the kind of information that I need. We need to categorize what bots are doing what rather than just aggregating them into this big pile because
Mm,
the 50%, 90%, whatever the bot number is that is included in this dead internet theory, right?
mm.
First of all, scary name, dead internet theory, right?
Yeah,
Secondly, we're doing media literacy right now. We're doing critical
yeah.
thinking as applying to the whole of the thing. So then we take a step down. What is actually going on? 50% of the internet traffic is bots. Okay. What does that actually mean? Right? What are those bots doing? Because that's what matters. It doesn't, like, if 50% of the internet traffic was bots and all those bots were like transferring resources from one place to another so that everyone had free food and free medical care,
Yeah.
then that, great. Dead internet theory is awesome, you know?
Yeah. Can we pause then just for a second and
Sure.
ask, the community in here, if someone references that idea to you, whatever the stat might actually be, right? 50%, okay, or 51%.
Yeah.
So if we throw that out to all of you, what is it that comes to your minds? I'm curious, like, if you hear someone say, "Hey, did you know that 51% of, in the internet is bots?" What is it that comes to mind for you? I'm curious of the different ways that this kinda shows up in all of your psyches. Fred internet
Mhm.
theory. Okay, going on with what you were saying though, because I
Yeah.
can whatever it is that pops up for them will probably be interesting.
And that's why I went like earlier when I was talking about UBI and resource distribution or
Mm,
Happy Fun Time Sunday, right? Like
yeah,
the name doesn't matter. What it does is what matters. And reframing everything back to that point I think has value. So that's how I feel about the dead internet theory as such, right? Like I need to know what the bots are doing. I need to know what value do those bots actually apply to, like, even the systems that I don't necessarily agree with but are what we would like legitimate, right? Legitimate
yeah.
behavior versus illegitimate behavior. So that's dead internet theory. The other thing
Mm,
is the idea of model collapse. And again, I think that people don't understand what model collapse like actually means and like how AI models are made. The origin, as far as I can tell, the origin of the term model collapse is actually traced back to this paper that was done about diffusion models and how the if you run these images asking for a dog, right, you gradually get towards a like an average of dogs. And what are the most popular dog pictures that are currently on the internet? And I believe it's golden retriever. So eventually dog becomes golden retriever and they become synonymous, and all the other dogs that appear a lot less get lost, right? And so
mhm,
that leads us to a system where like it's not like that the AI breaks down. It's just it lacks a significant amount of utility because dog is just providing us with golden retriever. Now you as the
mm,
user can counteract that by being more specific with what you ask for when you're creating stuff with AI tools. But on the
mhm,
other end, the people who create these tools are also concerned about model collapse. There is a framework that seems to exist within people when they talk about model collapse, is that like we're all just going on and just we're just going to keep on going, and it's just woo, and nobody gives a fuck, and then everything's going to break, and then where are we going to be? And as a matter of fact, people do actually care, right? Like the open AIs of the world actually want businesses to use their models. And if their models hallucinate all the time and don't actually do anything good, then none of those companies are going to buy the model and pay the company in order to do the thing. So like it's incumbent on them to actually provide some type of good product to those people. And under those conditions, there's a process called curating, right? Where you take this incoming data, and it's part of what led to what we talked about earlier with the people in the global south being paid $2 an hour, and so on and so forth. But they're also working on tools that automate that process, which I think is great. That way nobody has to get paid $2 an hour and go through trauma. So you use these tools and these processes, both as they currently exist and as they get better over time, to curate that data to actually get you better models going forward. You can do that kind of thing, and it doesn't lead to model collapse. It doesn't produce slop. It's important to remember when you're looking at the internet, that loud doesn't mean right?
Yeah.
You can find a lot of garbage on the internet. You can end up, if you type AI into a YouTube search bar and hit enter and don't do anything else, you're going to end up with a lot of AI slop, some weird little
Yeah.
cartoony type things, and they're all going to be that, and it's going to be a bunch of that. But if you curate your experience, if you deal with your algorithm, you find the things that you actually want to watch, and you start applying all the little tools that they give you in there, you can avoid all that junk. And that's what they
Yeah.
do. They're not sucking up, like people think that they just took Reddit and 4chan and just pushed it into the machine and then it learned to talk. It's like that's not what happened at all. And that's what I do. I explain to people how we got here.
How do I stop the fucking AI lo-fi channels from showing up on YouTube because I like lo-fi? Because those are hard to distinguish. That actually is frustrating to me. I would
What's the
like to
problem with
support
the
people who
AI?
create
Sure.
I would like to support the people who create the music,
Okay.
not the people who are just churning them out. Because a lot of these, it's like my first clue a lot of times is that it is AI generated music and artwork
Mm-hmm.
because it was, like, from 2 days ago,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I'm like, "Okay," I go and look at their channel, and then they've got, like, just one every fucking day that they're putting out, and I'm like, "Okay, the music sometimes is alright, but I really love people. I love outputs
Sure.
that were very intentionally done." And I would say to some degree, someone who is really skilled at the initial prompt to create something, or not even the initial, but the ones who actually put a lot of work into using their knowledge and expertise to have the model do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's very different from the ones that are just like, make me a lo-fi channel with this vibe, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I want those out of my feed so bad. I really love music, and I really love when it's something that someone else has intentionally created. And I don't think they do, AI tags on YouTube yet, AI generated,
They're
but maybe
supposed
I'm
to.
missing it.
Yeah, no, they're supposed to. So there's two, like if you're just getting, I open up YouTube and there's that feed there, like of all the different videos that you might be interested in.
Mhm.
If you're looking at that and you're ending up seeing that kind of lo-fi stuff, then you want to hit the three dots. And one of the options is not interested in this. And the option below that is don't recommend this channel. And then you do that
Mhm.
and you keep doing that, right? Like, I'm sorry, it's
Mm.
going to take
You're
work.
telling me I have to do
You have to work. You
work.
can't just coast through the internet. You have to defend yourself.
I do that on a lot of other platforms
Sure.
with YouTube. It adapts really rapidly,
It
which I am
does.
grateful for. because I took, like, just a couple weeks off of, like, any news political content,
Yep.
and my feed was the most peaceful, beautiful place. It was gorgeous.
Yep.
It was gorgeous. And then I watched a Jubilee video,
Yep.
and just there it fucking goes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's fine. I guess I'll just do the work.
And that's part of it. The other thing is if you find a creator that you do actually like, one, obviously subscribe to that channel, do the bell thing so that you get all of their updates because that
Yeah.
increases its value in your algorithm. And, feel free to leave a comment. I think your stuff is great. Are there any other channels that you might recommend? Right? Because one, that's a positive interaction on the internet, and
Mhm.
holy shit, you're a fucking unicorn, right? And the second
Yeah.
thing is that they are going to say, yeah, I don't like the AI stuff. I want real human artists. You should go watch. These are the people that I watch. These are the people I like. And then you can get
Yeah.
those recommendations and you build a little community,
And then I'll form a coalition with them. We'll come back to your stream and be like, "How dare you be pro AI art? You're a monster."
Yep. You should see the
And
way like people have come at me and when
I'm
I
not
don't
even remotely surprised.
no, but people have come at me, and again, like they don't get the reaction that they want, right? Like I'm not getting upset. I'm not getting upset about the thing that they're upset about, and I'm not getting upset
Mhm.
at them, and I'm not reacting in the way that they want me to. I'm talking about like in a nuanced and even keel kind of way, and then sometimes they leave and come back, and like they have a chance to chill out, and sometimes they get angry and leave and never come back, and and sometimes they just well, I never thought about it that way. Like, and
Oh, I
those are
love
the rare
hearing that.
wins. Yeah.
That's a juicy one right there. That's the one that, like, hits later on when I'm finally winding down from stream and my brain is just, like, rapid firing, like, "Well, you had 700 different conversations today. Now we're finally on 699." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah. That person said something really kind. Something I said, like, actually resonated.
Hmm.
Neat." And then I skip and cartwheel and do whimsical things.
Whimsy. Yeah, I will say that allegedly, in the process of looking for things that allegedly could be allegedly psychedelics and allegedly involved in ego death and allegedly
Yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, very
That was
hypothetical, very
super helpful. You're not mad at me. You don't know me. I don't know you. Why would I be mad at you? I think you're doing crime.
yes, yes. That's like I'll
I'm
end with
I'm
this little thing
I
because
am
I
confident
think
you're
we can
doing
wrap this
crime.
up, but that was the very hypothetical exploration of psychedelics is one of the things that helped me finally break through some frustration that I had towards a past relationship because it was a very long relationship and just like really really rocked my shit, and it was very hard after finally kind of breaking free from that to not view him as, intentionally malicious, as monstrous, as whatever.
Mhm,
And I had a very hypothetical, trip where I lived his whole fucking life from, like, birth on,
mhm,
and I was that energy, and I was like, "Damn, man, I can't even blame him for it." I came out of it, and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm not mad at him anymore. Now I just feel sad because like, that does suck, man.
mhm.
That sucks to, like, want love and connection and care and be doing all the things that push that away."
Yeah. Somebody said something about like it might have been you actually. But somebody said something about like when people are popping off on Twitter and stuff like that, that those people are actually looking for like love and validation, right?
Oh,
And
yeah, that might have been during another
yeah,
conversation about tripping and our connection to, like, when I'm tripping, I don't want my phone. At the beginning, it seems evil,
right,
and then partway through, I'm just like, "Oh, you sweet
right.
babies."
And
Oh.
that's really true. Every one of
You just
these
called me a slut on the internet, you poor thing.
these people are angry and they want to feel something, right? Like we live in this
Mhm.
weird alienated like damaged kind of world with no mental health care, no therapy, and like weird masculine fucking shit, and these dudes get out there with no idea how to behave, and they learn from the people around them, and and it makes them feel good to watch some dude yell at some other person, and then, hey, I want to
Yeah.
do that too, and it's just learned behavior. And all they
Yeah.
want is they want a fucking hug, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry your dad didn't love you. Here's your internet hug, homie.
It's very sad. Very sad.
All right. This
Yeah,
was fantastic. I gotta go. Are
agreed.
you continuing to stream?
I'm continuing to stream. I just ate an edible. We're gonna see where this day goes.
I'm
Whee!
gonna raid into you, and
Oh,
we'll
thanks.
talk, and we'll set up another conversation.
Yeah, I would love that because this was fun, and I enjoy any conversation that involves a great deal of nuance, and I love any conversations that allow me to further refine my language
Hmm.
because I pay very close attention to it. And, like, not to be like, "I'm really good at this," but it feels very rare that I find people who are like, "Hey, stop, that one,"
Right.
because I need that. I really, really value and need that.
Yeah, and again, there was a proper way to do it. I'm not like, hey, you did. It was point of order, right? Like,
Mhm.
for
You were like,
chat, right?
"Listen, bitch, actually,
Motherfucker. But
your
it's
little woman brain got you fucked up. Let me fix this for you, okay?"
but is that kind of like you have to think about how you're going to, help, like, first off, you have to know if someone wants to be corrected, or, any of that
Mhm.
kind of thing. But it's like, in that context, it's still like, right, like, it's not about me, it's about you. Do you want to know
Yeah,
this? Okay, cool. If you do, then let's talk about the thing, and this is why, right? And
yeah.
I also value those kind of people, and I value you. I think you're an amazing streamer. I think you're fantastic at what you do, and I look forward to our future conversation.
Same, same. This was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoy your day. Please make sure you tell that cat that he's a good cat and he's a cat and
He's
he's
the
a fat
bestest.
cat. And give him little smoochies.
Will do. Take care.
Bye and bye everyone and maybe hi again.
All right, chat. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm gonna raid you over. Stick around for the raid. Enjoy. You should absolutely experience. She snaps. She snapses. You should enjoy their content. Where are you? There you are. Boop. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, everyone who came through. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope you enjoyed yourself. I will be back tomorrow morning at around 10:30 Eastern to do the news. I'll be back tomorrow evening at about 5 p.m. to do the videos. I look forward to seeing you in the future. And in the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot, and always remember that Shaggy loves you. So do I. Be great.